Hi everyone and welcome back to Bonnie Astrology. Today we're discussing the horoscopes for October 2023. This is eclipse season. In October we have two eclipses. We have a solar eclipse in Libra and we have a lunar eclipse in Taurus. And eclipse season tends to bring fated and destined changes, opportunities and acceleration on your soul's path. So this is going to be a very important month for each of the zodiac signs. And if you want to know what it means for your sign, the timestamps are listed below. I suggest you watch your rising, but of course you can watch your sun and your moon. If you want to book a reading with me, the information is listed in the description. If you want to follow me on my socials, the information is also listed there for more regular astrology updates. But I will say, do be careful of scammers in the comment section or DMing you on Instagram. My account is verified and it is listed below, and that is the only user handle that I use. So if someone reaches out to you offering a reading and it's not me, because I will not do that, for clarity's sake, I'm never going to offer somebody a reading out of nowhere, especially if it's not somebody that I know. If it's somebody that I know in my day-to-day life, I will say to them in person. It's not me if it is someone on the internet with a similar handle but not verified, not quite the same, so just be mindful of that. They do tend to try and scam new followers or people who are commenting on videos and stuff like that. So just be mindful of it. It's never me. Apparently in human design I'm a projector and we're not meant to push things on people, so it's definitely not me because I'm a projector. So there's some verification, but no, just be careful because there are a lot of scammers out there and they're not particularly sophisticated, I will say, because they have tried to scam me as me. So there you go. But let's get into what the horoscopes mean for October. As I said before, timestamps are listed below. I do suggest that you watch your rising for the most accurate astrological events, but in the case that you do not know your rising or you're interested in your sun or moon perspective, you can watch those as well. And I will be doing a tarot pull for each of the signs for October 2023. So I hope you all have a blessed, beautiful October. I hope the fated changes are in your favor, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Libra, welcome to October 2023 for your sign. A very happy birthday to all the Libras who celebrated in September and who are celebrating in October. I hope you have a beautiful solar return. So Libra, I have to say, this is an incredibly fated month for you. Now, since July, the nodes shifted into your sister sign Aries and your sign Libra. So you may have had a little bit of an inkling, even if it was slight, even if it was but a whisper, of what these changes over the next couple of years are going to be for you, these fated changes, this acceleration for your soul's growth, karmic destiny, new paths, letting go of the old. This is going to be a very significant time for you, and I think October is going to be a time when you become a lot more clear on what the theme is going to be for you going forward and what is going to take precedence in your life. Now, this is the first solar eclipse in your sign, and this makes it very important for you because while this is conjunct the South Node, it is also a solar eclipse, which tends to bring about a new beginning, which tends to bring about new paths, new destiny, new destined people, new destined places, new destined jobs. Whatever it is that begins around this time is part of your destiny. It's part of fate. And it's a new beginning for you, and yet it also is going to require you to let go perhaps an identity for yourself. So whether that was a particular label that you had for yourself, that could be that you were a husband, that could be that you were an engineer, that could be anything that perhaps is indicative of who you are, your personality, how you present yourself, that kind of thing. It might have been that you were something as simple or small as a daydreamer, but it was a big part of your self-identification, and perhaps it is something that you're no longer taking forward. It can be very small, it can be quite big, but it usually has quite big effects, even if it is small, even if it is a certain personality quirk. You might be letting it go to make way for something new. But it tends to bring about fated changes for yourself that are very important and very aligned with your destiny. And sometimes that means that you have to let go of certain people, certain places, certain homes, certain jobs, whatever it is. Sometimes things get eclipsed out of your life in order for you to begin a new period that is a little bit more in alignment with the direction that you're going and how you have grown as a person. If you know any Scorpio people or people who are heavy with Scorpio placements, you can always ask me. But with the South Node going through the Scorpio sign over the last couple of years, you can ask your Scorpio friends what it was like to shed some layers, because they're naturals at transformation. They're naturals at letting go of the old ways of doing things, the old ways of being. They have metaphorical death and rebirths all the time. So for you, you could always ask them what their experience was. But what I typically told people who were coming to me for astrology readings that had Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant is that it is not necessarily about letting go of who you are. It's more about remembering who you are. It's more about connecting that little bit deeper to your soul and the parts of yourself that you may have cut off, you may have sacrificed. And this can look like shadow work. This can look like you being faced with a karmic situation where you realize what it is that you truly want, where you realize what it is that you truly need, what it is that you truly are. And sometimes that can be very hard because we build lives for ourselves around expectations, around standards that we maybe have found from other people or that we have committed to, and then we get quite deep into it and we feel a little bit trapped and chained by those experiences. And that's usually when eclipses come in to eclipse something out. You tend to find with eclipses, especially when they're on the relationship axis as they are for you, that it can bring changes within yourself that perhaps lead you to leave a long-standing relationship. They can bring in changes with yourself because of the ending of a long-term relationship, or perhaps you're sacrificing your singledom to be in a long-term relationship. As we begin the month, we do have the effects of the full moon in your 7th house of relationships still in play. So the first couple of days of October, the 1st and the 2nd of October, you'll still be feeling what that full moon means for you, what it meant for you in terms of what you need and want from relationships and what your relationship life is going to be going forward. Maybe you've met somebody, someone quite destined, someone quite fated, and perhaps that is requiring you to go down a path you didn't expect to go down to in this lifetime or go down in this lifetime. So it is a very fated month for you, but I feel for a lot of you, you could be letting go of a part of yourself that perhaps you didn't expect to. And you could similarly also be stepping into a new role that is very destined for you. It's very personal to you, especially if your placements are around 20, 21 or 22 degrees of Libra. You can look up your birth chart to decipher if that is the case for you, or you can consult an astrologer, obviously. But there are a few dates that are very fated for that. The eclipse on the 14th being one of them. At the time of this eclipse, Mercury in your sign is also opposite Chiron in Aries. So with Mercury being opposite Chiron, it might be a case that this new beginning is going to require communication. It might be that there's something that you need to communicate. It might be that a communication is beginning perhaps with a partner that is hard, that is tough, with Chiron being there, because Chiron is the wounded healer. It might require you to be very vulnerable about something. It might require your partner to be very vulnerable about something. If you're not in a relationship, you might actually be having some very interesting realizations about what you need from a relationship in order to feel loved, in order to feel happy in a relationship. And I want to bet with the opposition to Chiron that perhaps it is to do with accepting yourself for who you are and accepting who you're becoming, and knowing that you have flaws, you have faults as everybody else does, but you're just as worthy as anyone else of being in a happy relationship. There could be some tricky conversations with a partner, and feelings could get hurt around the time of that eclipse. Just, mentioning that with the Mercury opposition to Chiron, especially if you do have any placements at around 16, 17, 18 degrees of Aries or Libra. So bear that in mind. If you are 50, just remember that you're going through your Chiron return. So this one could definitely impact you. And it could be impacting you in the sense that you're becoming very aware of what your wounds are within you and how you can actually turn them into strengths, because Chiron is quite close to the North Node. So the direction that you're going in now, Libra, is going to be hopefully full of self-acceptance and saying that, yeah, I'm not the best at this, or I have this flaw, or I've done this and I'm not proud of it, but this is the direction I'm going. I need to stand up for myself, and I need to accept myself for the flaws that I do have, because Aries is very personal. That's just a mention if you have it, because I do know that Chiron returns for people, while I haven't experienced one myself. Chiron returns for people can be very significant turning points in your life, and because the North Node is there, I just wanted to mention that for you. The Sun is going to conjunct the South Node on the 18th, and Mercury conjuncts the South Node on the 19th. There does seem to be very important fated conversations going on for you around that time, Libra. It might be news that you're sharing. This could be something to do with, with the Sun being your 11th house ruler. This could be to do with your goals. This could be to do with your aspirations, your wishes, what it is that you want. It could be to do with your friends. Maybe you're deciding to let go of a particular group of people. Maybe you're deciding to let go of a social circle, a friendship circle, or you're realizing that you're not connecting so much with a particular group anymore, Libra, because the Sun rules your 11th house. But nevertheless, the Sun is in your 18th. The Sun is in your first house on the 18th. And I think for you, a lot of it is going to be you really accepting what it is that you need to change and what it is that you need to let go of in order to be more true to yourself in a sense. And I know that the, be true to yourself, be authentic gets thrown around quite a lot. And for a Libra, you're more partnership and relationship oriented. So sometimes for you, you can find yourself sacrificing quite a bit for the sake of a relationship, but perhaps there's something you can't sacrifice anymore. Perhaps there's something that you would really like to get back to for yourself. Maybe it's a hobby, maybe it is something that you love to do, maybe it is actually seeing your friends more, or whatever it is, Libra. I think with the Sun conjunct the South Node, you're going to get a little bit of clarity on what it is that you need to let go of in order to feel more connected to yourself and to your interests and to your hopes and your aspirations and your wishes. Perhaps there is something standing in your way, be it a literal thing that you can change, a circumstance that you can change, or perhaps it is internal. It is a mental or emotional, psychological block, or whatever that might be for you. You do have Venus in your 12th house all month, and Venus is your ruler and it's in your 12th house. So I will say, when it comes to love and relationships or finances, a lot of this is quite covert. So if you're dating somebody new, you might be dating them behind the scenes. If you're meeting someone, you might be keeping it quiet for a while. The 12th house is very secret. If you're in a relationship, you might be wanting to spend a little bit more time alone, potentially get a little bit of space to yourself. Some of you could also find that if you're traveling to distant lands, you could be traveling with a partner, or if you're traveling to very distant lands, you could be meeting somebody. Usually the 12th house is to do with over the water. So that's taking a significant trip. It's not if you live in Birmingham hopping over to Belfast, so to speak. It's more if you're traveling across the sea. It's very long distance places. So that could be something that's coming up for you with your ruler Venus being in the 12th house. You could be traveling a significant distance somewhere. And this could be because of a relationship, or there could be a relationship somewhere at a distance from you, Libra. There's a square between Mars and Pluto on the 8th, and Pluto obviously is in your 4th house. Well, it is transiting your 4th house of home, family, and living situations. And with Mars being in your sign, squaring Pluto, I think that the 8th could be a time where you potentially feel a little bit pushed by your family, or you feel like something needs to change with the home. This would be a time that if you realize that a wall is really bugging you and you think that you could get rid of the wall and have a little bit more space between two rooms, you're likely to take a hammer to it impulsively. With Mars squaring Pluto, so just be mindful of that. You might be taking actual physical action towards doing something with the home. That could be decluttering, that could be redoing something, changing something. It's a bit destructive with Mars, so I feel like it might be knocking something down, getting rid of something. But it could be also a case that people in your family are pushing your buttons, or you're feeling a little bit controlled by your living situation, and perhaps you want to, with Mars there, do something about it. You're maybe feeling pushed to do something about it as well. Also, when I said Venus is in your 12th house, it's in your 12th house, not the whole month, but from the 8th. And that's when it gets out of Leo, where it has been for a very long time. So I just wanted to clarify that one detail before I continued. Look out for the 2nd of October. Venus is going to trine the North Node. And this is happening, Venus is still in your 11th house at this point, and it is trining the North Node in your 7th house of relationships, and it is still in the energy of the full moon in your relationship sector. So it feels as though in the 2nd, Libra, there might be something important coming up when it comes to relationships and goals for the future. And Venus is in your 11th house. It's very social. So if you're socializing with groups of people, you could meet a partner, or you could find that you and a partner are setting up a particular goal that's going to be very supportive and very part of your destiny, because this is the North Node involved. Other things happening for you this month is Pluto going direct in your 10th house. So when it comes to home and family and property matters, there's a little bit more forward momentum. Pluto is a very transformative energy, so you're likely transforming something when it comes to your home and your living situation or your family. These changes are going to last for a few months before Pluto goes back into Aquarius, and it's going to retrograde back. So this is an ongoing dance for a while. If you have anything at 27, 28, 29 degrees of Capricorn, you're going to be feeling this most intensely. But this is bringing a lot of changes when it comes to your home and your living situation. Mars is going to leave your sign on the 12th. And I think because Mars is near the South Node for you for most of October, you're going to be feeling a bit relieved about this, because South Node tends to dissolve things, and Mars gives us a bit of energy. So you might have been feeling a little bit drained, or you might have been feeling a little bit weighed down by something. And I think when Mars enters Scorpio, your mindset, your energy is going to shift to making money. It's going to shift to your finances. If you have independent ways of making money, you're probably going to be finding more ways to do it. You're going to be putting a lot of effort and energy into making money, and your confidence is probably going to increase as well with Mars being there. Obviously, Mars is a very impulsive energy, and in your second house, it can also up your spending a little bit. You can feel like you're wanting to spend money on something, Libra, and it's very easy to do. Let's see what else I want to mention for you. The Sun Mercury Cazimi on the 20th in your sign could be very significant for news. You may have news to share, or an important conversation may be happening, possibly with a friend for you, Libra, but it could also be a secret, because Mercury rules your 12th house as well. That's what else I wanted to mention for you. The emphasis shifts more so onto your finances from the 22nd. Mercury enters your second house, the Sun enters there on the 23rd, and then we're going to have that lunar eclipse on your financial axis yet again on the 28th. Now, the full moon is a partial lunar eclipse, so it's not as intense, but it is wrapping up a series of eclipses in Scorpio and Taurus, which is financial for you. So I do get this sense for you, Libra, that perhaps there is something that you're letting go of in terms of other people's money, or something is changing, possibly in terms of your spouse's money, in terms of your spouse's income, or the income that you receive from other people. This would be other people's money. So that can be government money, taxes. There could be something coming up around that time where perhaps you're letting go of a particular source of income from somebody else. You know, money that flows from someone else or something else. Maybe you're paying off some taxes. Maybe you're paying off a debt. Maybe you are, for example, leaving a relationship and then you're cutting off that source of income, or there's something being settled financially for you around this time, Libra, with that lunar eclipse. This might also be a time when you're actually ready to face a fear, something that you need to let go of, a phobia, for example, and you're ready to release it, because Mercury is going to be conjunct Mars around this time in your second house. So you're feeling the confidence and the push to do something, to take action. And it's going to be opposite Jupiter. So with Jupiter being near this full moon, I feel like what you're letting go of, it could be quite large with Jupiter. Jupiter doesn't always guarantee that it's going to feel positive in the moment. It could be a big source of income that you're letting go of, or it could be that you're maybe remortgaging, or maybe it could be that you're getting, you could even be getting a tax rebate or money from the government, or money owed to you, or alimony or something like that. There could be source of money coming to you from someone else, or you could be letting go of it. It can go either way, I will say. Halloween, the 31st, Venus in your 12th house is going to trine Uranus in your 8th, which is lovely and spooky, I will say. That's it's a very psychological axis. So you might be finding that perhaps with Venus being in your 12th house, you've been putting a lot of love and attention into something secretly, into something behind the scenes. And the trine to Uranus is going to show you how this is actually perhaps making you feel more connected to somebody, or making you feel more connected to your passions, to your desires. And it might also be that you're working on something behind the scenes. It's very psychological, very personal. It's very healing for you. And then this is actually going to be something that you feel is setting you free from a fear or a phobia, Libra. But that is what I have for you. Let me pull you a tarot card if I know where I put my deck. Let's pull you a card and see what we get for Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising for October. King of Wands. Very nice. And King of Swords underneath. A lot of you, I feel, are, with the solar eclipse in your first house, you're going to be taking center stage. You're going to be seen. People are going to look to you as a leader. And that could be because you are a leader. That could be because you're in a leadership position. With great power comes great responsibility. But I do feel a lot of you are having to embrace king energy, leader of the people. And with it being a solar eclipse in your first house, just remember that with kings, it is important not to let power go to your head. You don't have to be a tyrant to make things happen for yourself or assert your power. You can lead with love. You can lead with confidence. But remember, kings are effectively, and leaders are always effectively serving people. So if you are stepping into a leadership position, the King of Wands energy is all about embodying that confidence, but also, you know, leading with the heart and taking your head with you, the King of Swords. I feel like a lot of you are being asked to step into a leadership position, or you're maybe taking on a new role, you're maybe taking on a new project, or you're maybe exploring new horizons when it comes to career matters potentially, Libra. But it is asking you to show up, be seen, and take center stage, and let go of the old way of doing things, maybe some old belief systems surrounding yourself, so that you can be the best version of yourself when you do. Because with this being a new moon solar eclipse, don't forget the moon rules your 10th house, the sun rules your 11th. So this is a time when you really have to look to the future and who you want to be going forward. And as I said before, it's more so about remembering yourself and who you truly are, and perhaps shedding and dissolving some of the distractions that have maybe led you down a different path, or maybe have led you to distance yourself from yourself for whatever reason. That's what I have for you, Libra. I hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, Scorpio. Welcome to October. Very happy birthday to all the lovely Scorpios celebrating their birthday in October 2023. So Scorpio, this is a very important month for you, because we are going to be closing off the series of eclipses in your sign and your sister sign Taurus, because we have a partial lunar eclipse happening in Taurus on the 28th. So if your birthday falls in and around the 27th, 28th, or 29th of October, you're going to be feeling this, and this is probably going to be a year of remarkable change for you, because an eclipse falling on your birthday tends to denote significant changes happening for you in the year ahead. So this one is going to be happening in your relationship sector. So perhaps since 2022, the very beginning of 2022, but also since November 2021, when the first eclipse of this saga began, there has been significant changes to your relationship status. Your relationship sector has undergone great change. For some of you, you have left long-term relationships. For some of you, you have actually lost long-term relationships. For others of you, you've gotten married, you've met somebody new, you've had a very significant partnership come into your life since November 2021, but it has been very fated, and eclipses tend to accelerate things. So you might have found that whatever was happening in your relationship life, the changes that came on kind of quick. This energy has not completely gone away, because this is the final eclipse. So if you feel as though there has been absolutely no change in the area of relationships or partnerships for you, this might be the time where you notice it. This full moon lunar eclipse is happening in your partnership sector, and it's going to be conjunct Jupiter. So it could be that your relationship is getting a boost of energy from Jupiter. It's expanding, it's growing. You could be getting engaged, getting married. You could be meeting a soulmate. You could be meeting someone very special, or you could be beginning a new chapter of your relationship. Of course, some of you could be leaving a relationship because you finally have the bravery to do so, with Mercury conjunct Mars in your sign, Mars being in your sign since the, what date have I got here? 12th of October, where you're going to feel more brave. The conjunction to Mercury might push you to take some sort of action for your future, because Mercury rules your 11th house. So there's likely something going on in your relationship sector around the 28th, whether you're single or committed. There may be some sort of significant change, and it might be that perhaps your partner is getting a boost of some kind, maybe financially, because Jupiter is going to be conjunct the full moon, meaning that you may be benefiting from a partner in some way, shape, or form. Adding to that is we have a beautiful Venus in Virgo trine to Uranus in Taurus on Halloween. So perhaps if you're single, the way you meet somebody is through friends, through traveling with friends, through socializing. There could be some very lovely social energy for you this month, Scorpio, while Venus is in Virgo, because Venus tends to bring blessings and good times and positive energy. And going through your 11th house means that you're getting a lot of blessings from friends, particularly female friends. So this is a good month to be social, to show up, at least from, the 23rd onwards. I know that that's not the biggest part of October, but this energy is going to prevail through October from about when does Venus enter the 8th? Venus enters your 11th house in the 8th. But at your season, when the sun moves out of your 12th house, which is very isolated, you're going to feel incredibly social. So there could be some very significant parties, events with friends, social gatherings from the 23rd onwards, Scorpio, if not most of the month from the 8th there. And you could actually find that if you're single, you meet somebody around Halloween, or it could be that you meet somebody through a friend or through online dating, even with Venus being in Virgo if you're single. So let's move back a little bit to Libra season. So Until the 23rd, the sun is going to be very behind the scenes for you. So there's an element of secrecy, particularly when it comes to career matters. The sun being in your 12th house, the sun rules your 10th house of career, your goals, your job. It might be a case that you are taking a backseat role, you're doing something behind the scenes, you're doing something secretively when it comes to your work, Scorpio. That's a very significant theme for you. We have the South Node going through your 12th house, and that means that you are perhaps becoming more psychic, more intuitive. You're more interested in healing what lies beneath, doing shadow work, looking at things from a therapeutic or psychological perspective, doing a bit of soul searching, soul digging, spending more time alone, spending some time in isolation, Scorpio. Now, the North Node, conversely, is opposite that in your 6th house of health and well-being. So in the first couple of days of October, from the after effects of the Aries full moon in your 6th house of wellness and physical activity, a lot of you could find that you're more focused on your health and well-being than ever. Since July, your diet might have changed, your exercise regimen might have changed. You might then have found that your weight changed, your body composition has changed. You maybe have changed your health stats, whatever they might be. You could be trying to get your blood pressure down. You could be trying to get more physically fit to run your first marathon. You might be trying to do something for yourself physically, health-wise, Scorpio, and that full moon you will be feeling in the first couple of days of October that might actually give you some insight on what needs to change or what needs to move forward with that particular area of life. But with the North Node being there and being quite close to Chiron, I will say take your health very seriously. Do look after yourself. Do eat better. Do exercise more. Do look after your mental health as well. We have so much in your 12th house of mental health this month. So that is something that's very important to do. And we have that new moon solar eclipse on the 14th in your 12th house. I feel for a lot of you, and this is, I feel for a lot of you, you might be starting something behind the scenes that nobody knows about, something that you want to keep to yourself, something that you want to keep secretive, you want to keep hidden. Now, the ruler of this eclipse is Venus in your 11th house. So this might actually be that you are perhaps starting a goal, a wish is coming true for you, but you don't want to tell anybody yet. You want to keep it behind the scenes. You want to keep it to yourself. It's very secretive this month, Scorpio, for you, which is, you naturally operate in that energy. People think Scorpio is the most secretive sign, but Pisces rules the 12th house, which is incredibly secretive. So you might be doing something behind the scenes. And I do think for a lot of you, it could be linked to your work, your career. So maybe for some of you, that is secretly looking for a new job, secretly making a career change. If you have people that work for you, perhaps you're keeping your business plan covert, you're keeping something very secretive, Scorpio, to yourself that you don't want people to know just yet. And I want to bet that it's sort of taking off in the first bit of October where you're really putting your focus towards it and keeping it quiet. Feels like a goal. It could be, because it's ruled by Venus, it could be a relationship. Venus rules your 7th house. It could be that it is a friendship that for some reason you want to keep secret. It could be a new group or society that you're joining or becoming a part of that you want to keep a secret too. So Scorpio, you could be joining a secret society in October 2023. You heard it here first. There's very secretive energy for you, and I do think it's linked to career. I think it's linked to your goals. But if you're in a profession that is very 12th house oriented, say that you are in medicine, say that you're in healing, say that you're in something psychic, say you're in something supernatural, this could actually be a very significant new beginning for you in terms of your career, Scorpio, where you're maybe offering your services, and with Venus being in your 11th, maybe online, maybe more publicly. So with Mars entering your sign in the 12th, moving out of your 12th house on the 12th into your first house, with Mars being your ruler, Scorpio, you're going to feel really driven. You've got action on your mind. There's things you want to do. You're feeling really passionate about something. It trines Saturn in your 5th house right away. So this is something creative. This is something that you want to give birth to. This is something that you want to put your heart into. You're feeling really driven and really passionate about something in October, Scorpio. It might, again, be very health related. Scorpio is your 1st house, your physical appearance, your aesthetic, but Mars also rules your 6th house of health and well-being. If you've been on a fitness journey or a fitness goal, Scorpio, you're going to feel a huge push, surge in that direction after the 13th, and you're really going to be feeling as though you have the energy to look after your health, to do better, to focus on it. I do think as well there's a lot of secrets coming out for you in October, Scorpio, things that you might not have expected. The 18th, there could be a secret comes out in the workplace, or it could be you sharing a secret about your work or your career or your professional life. There's news on the 19th when Mercury conjuncts the South Node in your 12th house as well. And on the 20th, from the 18th to the 20th, Scorpio, it feels like there's probably a lot of secrets coming out. But there's also a lot of secrets revealed to you in unusual ways. Perhaps that you're discovering a family secret. Perhaps you're discovering something within yourself that you hadn't realized, you hadn't seen, you hadn't looked at yet. And you're getting this clarity of, oh, this has completely unraveled so many patterns that I thought were who I was, but I'm actually ready to let go because they don't serve me anymore. It's a house of self-sabotage. So if you have any self-sabotaging habits, Scorpio, you're getting clarity on them, especially around the 18th, 19th, and 20th. And with Mercury squaring your ruling planet on the 20th as well in your 12th house, third house axis, this could be very important for you to communicate with someone who understands. So perhaps you're communicating with a sibling, a cousin, a neighbor, with Pluto there. Or perhaps you're feeling frustrated with one of those people as well. With the square to Pluto, it could be that perhaps you're finding someone in your, a sibling or a neighbor is actually maybe being a bit too nosy, is being controlling. You're wanting to break free of someone else's control over you that they've maybe been doing in a way that you hadn't realized. It could have been quite covert, and you're seeing their pattern and you're understanding what they're trying to do, and you're thinking, oh, actually I need to challenge this, or it's a moment of clarity. So Scorpio, that is what I have for you in October. Let me pull you a card and see what we get. Oopsies. And I feel like with your season, this being the final eclipse, you're ready for some change. You're ready to focus on something new. There's been a lot of focus for you on partnership. Oh, there is a lot of focus on partnership. With the Eight of Cups, I think you could be walking away from something or someone. You could be leaving a job. You could be leaving a relationship. The Empress, but you're leaving for something better. You're leaving for something more abundant. Oops, we had another card, Queen of Pentacles. Especially if it's career. You're leaving for something more abundant, something more prosperous, something that's going to grow and give dividends, something that is really luxurious. And because the Empress and the Queen of Pentacles is Taurus, I do think a lot of you could actually be headed towards a new relationship or a more prosperous time in your relationship. Doesn't mean that you're necessarily leaving a partner. For some, it could, but for others, it could be that you're leading into a more prosperous time in your relationships. Scorpio, that's what I have for you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Sagittarius, welcome to October. So Sagittarius, we have a lot of activity happening in your 11th house. So that means that this could be quite a social month for you. You could get a lot of invitations. Your friends could want to be doing a lot of things with you. Groups of people that you're a part of could be quite social, could be quite busy. There could be a lot of events at this time. You might also find yourself thinking more about your relationships to groups and teams. Because Sagittarius, you do have a solar eclipse coming up, and the South Node is in your 11th house, and sometimes the South Node tends to dissolve things. For a lot of you, if you're part of a community, if you're part of a group, if you're part of an organization, if you're part of groups, teams, people, social networks that are no longer something you feel aligned with, a lot of you might decide to go. A lot of you might decide to leave certain groups, leave behind friendships, leave behind teams, people that just don't resonate with you anymore in the direction that you're going, Sagittarius, because you're looking to lead with love. We have the North Node in your 5th house. You're interested in things that can grow. You're interested in things that can be birthed. You're interested in things that can be fun and happy and loving, and you're really leading with your heart now, especially since that full moon at the very end of September, which you'll still be feeling in the first couple of days of October. That was happening in your 5th house of love. So you're leading with love. That's the direction you're going in. And for a lot of you, because Chiron is there next to the North Node, you are potentially feeling that you want to work on your heart, you want to work on your emotional center, you want to feel more connected to people, and you want to be connected to people that you do love. So if you're part of groups where you don't, you can have unconditional love for people, but maybe you just don't feel it's good for your heart. Maybe you feel like it's either breaking your heart, maybe you feel like there's no love there, maybe you don't feel loved, maybe you don't feel seen, accepted, and you maybe feel like there's no creativity. You could be walking away from groups like that. At the same time, you could be finding yourself connecting with groups of people that feel more in alignment with who you are and the direction that you're going. So with that solar eclipse, a lot of you might be deciding that it's time to leave one group, one team, one organization, and go in the direction of another. So you could be joining a group around that time. It's ruled by Venus, and Venus is in your 10th house. So the fact that it's there means that you could be starting a new team at work. You could be part of a new team. You could be joining a social society through your work, through your career, or it could be something that you feel will elevate you in some way socially, elevate your social status. Or you could be making more friends through work. That is something that could be playing out in your life at this time, Sagittarius. There may be secrets come out when it comes to friends, when it comes to groups, when it comes to societies that you're a part of. There could be some secrets coming out, particularly between the 18th to the 20th. There's a lot of secrets could come out at that time, and for you, it might be to do with your friends. It might be to do with your groups, your teams. It could also be that you have a realization that there's something that you actually really want to do in this lifetime, and if you don't go for it now, you're never going to go for it. You might be realizing that you've let go and sacrificed a particular dream, a particular goal, a particular aspiration, and you're thinking, I need to do this. Especially with that solar eclipse, you're thinking, I actually need to pursue this dream, this goal, this wish, this aspiration, or else I'm never going to do it. And as I say, with Venus being in your 10th house, I do think it could be linked to career or your professional life, Sagittarius. Now, Venus enters your 10th house on the 8th. So, Venus rules your 11th house of groups of people, social networking. It also rules your 6th house of work and health and well-being. So with it being in your 10th house, a lot of you are going to be really focused on being out of service. You're going to be really productive when it comes to your work. You're really going to be wanting to put yourself forward in your career, especially if you're in a career or industry whereby you do beauty or you provide services to other people. You're really going to want to go above and beyond, and you're probably going to get quite a lot of recognition through that this month, Sagittarius. Really be seen favorably in the workplace, particularly when it comes to women, because Venus is associated with women. So if you work in an industry that is Venusian, maybe aesthetics, maybe beauty, maybe fashion, maybe theater, artistic, any of those things, you're really going to feel a lot of benefit and boost to your career this month, Sagittarius. Mars is going to leave your 11th house. So if you have been fighting with friends, groups, teams of people, you're going to find that the energy shifts into your 12th house, and you're not feeling like you want to necessarily fight with people, but you might be fighting a battle internally. You could be having some psychological warfare, psychic attacks. You could be feeling kind of mentally a bit frustrated or a bit angry, or a bit agitated and not know why. It's Mars in the 12th. So you might be wanting to tackle maybe anxiety. Maybe you want to tackle something with your mental health. You're wanting to tackle an invisible problem, something that maybe other people can't see, but you're really putting a lot of effort into it. So that can be kind of sleepy too with Mars in the 12th house, because a lot of the energy that you are using is very internal. It is very psychological. So if you're feeling like you need to sleep more, you need to rest more, or you're not getting good sleep, so you need to maybe take more downtime, that might be why, with Mars entering Scorpio. For you, Sagittarius. Now I want to go towards the end of the month. I'm being old school and using notes. I do have a computer screen up too, but I have some pointers here. Towards the end of the month, we are going into your sleepy 12th house, where you feel a little bit more isolated. You want to spend more time alone, rest more, recharge your social batteries. And we then have the final in a series of eclipses for you on your 6th house, 12th house axis. And this is on the 20th. It's a full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. Now, it's not very extreme, this eclipse, and it's conjunct Jupiter. So it has a lot of benefic energy. Jupiter is your ruler. So maybe around this time, you're having some sort of realization when it comes to your health, your well-being. You're maybe ready to let something go that's not working for you from a health perspective. You might have reached a particular health goal as well, and you might be finding yourself feeling a bit more abundant when it comes to your health. Or if there is something that needs to be acknowledged or seen when it comes to your health, this might be a time where that information comes to you. There's a Mercury-Mars conjunction in your 12th house, so a secret very well could come up for you around this lunar eclipse as well, or you might have a very strong intuitive hunch to pursue something from a health perspective, and this would be a good idea, Sagittarius. We have on the 31st, which is Halloween, a Venus-Uranus trine, which is exciting. It brings fresh energy. It brings fun. This is very linked to your work, so there could be a pleasant surprise when it comes to your career, when it comes to your professional life, Sagittarius, around Halloween. It could be that there's some good news. It could be that your colleagues have nominated you for something. They're surprising you with something. Your employees are surprising you with something, and you're feeling very loved. You're feeling very appreciated around Halloween when it comes to your work. Oh, we have two cards for you, Sagittarius. We have the World and the King of Wands. Some of you could actually be traveling for work. Some of you could be reaching a monumental goal, and some of you could be deciding to go after something you really want, something that you feel really strongly about. And there could be a major accomplishment coming to you this month, Sagittarius, where I think you feel on top of the world because you are the King of Wands. So when it comes to your career, your entrepreneurial spirit, your leadership qualities, I feel like there is an important completion for you this month, Sagittarius. It's going to make you feel really positive. That is what I have for you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Capricorn, welcome to October 2023. This is your horoscope. So Capricorn. Okay, so since July, the nodes have been in your 4th house and your 10th house respectively. This season is very focused on your 10th house. And that is because it is Libra season, which is your 10th house season, but also we have a solar eclipse happening on the 14th of October. So this means when it comes to your career, there's an overall picture here, I think, for you. A lot of Capricorns are actually taking a step back when it comes to their career. This is part of your, cycle with the South Node going through your 10th house. And having experienced this before, I understand how frustrating and tough it can be at certain times. Your interests may be elsewhere. You may not be wanting to girl boss it. You may not be wanting to climb the ladder as much. You may not be wanting to spend as much time at work on your career or your professional life. And if you're not employed, if you don't work, this might be a particular goal that you have for yourself anyway, a particular plan that you have for yourself, maybe as part of society, maybe social status or something like this. You're just feeling a little less interested. As a Capricorn, that might seem a little bit alien to you, but you're perhaps wanting to pull back from a certain industry, a certain field, and focus more on your emotional well-being, your emotional security, your health, your family, your home, your living situation. It just might not interest you as much. Now, that being said, there is a solar eclipse in your 10th house. So I feel like a lot of you could actually be beginning a new job. You could be starting a new career path. You could be leaving one industry altogether and moving into another. You could be leaving one company and moving into another. You could be letting go a branch of your entrepreneurial ship and moving into something else, perhaps that allows you more time to work from home or spend time with family or care for family. For some of you, a classic example may be going on maternity leave, whereby you're focusing more on the family and focusing less on your career. Something like that could be occurring for you, Capricorn, or your focus could very much be on your home and your family and your well-being. And so along this eclipse comes and you're thinking, right, okay, well, what needs to change when it comes to career? What do I need to let go of? What do I need to focus on changing? This career for you, Capricorn, is going to be, this eclipse for you, apologies, is going to be ruled by Venus. And Venus is going to be in your 9th house. So this change that you're doing might require you to go back to school, to learn something new, to begin a period of learning. That can just be something as simple as training. That can be something as simple as on-the-job training, or it could be that you're perhaps deciding to take on a new degree altogether. It could be that you're deciding that you want to study something new in order to have a better career in the future. Or it could be that you have to take an exam, you have to take an interview, or you have to travel for this. But it feels as though there is a new beginning happening you professionally, Capricorn. But I will say it doesn't feel as if you're, trying to necessarily move your way up the ladder, so to speak, or you're looking to do a huge leap into a leadership position. Some of you could be. Obviously, it depends on your individual chart. But I feel for a lot of you that when it comes to career, a lot of you are taking your foot off the pedal. And so this is going to be a new chapter for you professionally where maybe you do less. Maybe you just want to be a little bit more at ease with what's going on with your career. So that is one of the eclipses that's playing out for you, Capricorn. Your Pluto in your sign is going to go direct on the 10th. So around the 10th, you might feel a little bit psychologically triggered. You might feel like something's changing, but you don't know quite what. With the eclipses happening around that same time, it feels as though you could be a bit triggered. You could be feeling a bit heavy, a bit obsessive, a bit hyper-focused on something, and you could just be feeling a lot of fear because when Pluto stations, you tend to feel a lot of fear. You feel like something big is happening, but you can't see it. You know there's a change in the horizon, but you're not seeing it. It can feel very overwhelming. So just make sure you're taking some time around that point to breathe because Pluto is in your 1st house. You may suddenly feel like, I need to make changes, but I can't do anything right now. Just breathe. It's the energy of Pluto shifting a little bit. You're actually going to be moving forward. And for a lot of you, accelerated forward because it is eclipse season. Now, Mars leaves your career sector on the 11th and enters your 11th house on the 12th. Sorry, it moves into your 11th house in the 12th. Mars going through the 12th house, there could be it could be easier to be, I was going to say a bad word there. It could be easier to be a bit more frustrated and irritated by friends, by groups of people, by teams. You may be more inclined to boss your friends around. You might be more inclined to push them a little bit. Or it could be that you're finding them a bit more irritating, aggravating with Mars going through your 11th house of friendships and social networks. You could find a team really irritating, a group of people. So you might want to be mindful of that, Scorpio, because if you're going to have confrontation, Scorpio, Capricorn, if you're going to have confrontation, that's where it could be, especially with the eclipse happening at the same time and everyone being kind of frantic. For you, Venus is going to enter Virgo. As I mentioned before, Venus is in your 9th house when it's in Virgo. So a lot of you are going to find joy, find pleasure, find happiness from learning. If you're at university or college, or you're in a higher education program, you could be feeling a lot of benefits from it. You could be really enjoying it, enjoying what you're learning, finding people very helpful. For you, Capricorn, Venus does rule your 10th house, so you could be finding that people at work are helping you with training or helping you learn something, or you're learning from them. You could even be traveling for work, or you might be finding that traveling in general, taking a voyage, is making you feel really joyful, really happy at this time. And you could, if you're looking for love, meet somebody through university, through college, or perhaps even through traveling or a course of some kind, Capricorn. So if you're looking for love, that's where you should be looking. You could also be traveling with a partner. I've noticed that Capricorn risings actually do put a lot of focus on wanting to travel with their partner. It's a big deal for Capricorns. I have noticed for some reason, and I can't quite figure out why. I suppose it's because your 9th house is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury likes to travel, Mercury likes to move, so that might be why. It maybe helps you communicate better with a relationship, but I digress. It's just an observation. The 23rd, the Sun enters your 11th house. The 22nd, Mercury entered your 11th house. So there's a lot of focus in groups, teams, friendships going on from the 22nd. So you might be socializing with a group of people. We are going to have Mercury and Mars meet in your 11th house on the 28th. So there could be a substantially heated conversation with a friend, or there could be a conversation with a friend that really pushes things along, really accelerates things forward. Maybe some things need to be said. But this lunar eclipse in Taurus is happening in your 5th house. So for a lot of you, this could be, especially because of its conjunction to Jupiter, there could be a birth. This could be you, or it could be someone around you. You could find out you're pregnant. You could find out you're expecting. You could be giving birth around this time, or your feelings surrounding children could come to a head at this time as well. The conjunction to Jupiter is usually pretty positive, but one of the reasons this definitely foretells pregnancy for a lot of people is because Jupiter tends to expand, and what does pregnancy do to your body? It expands it. And it expands your life to an extent because you have a new little person to take care of. But there could definitely be a birth happening for you around this time. This could be a creative birth. If you're a creative, if you're an artist, you could be putting out your work to the world. Or you could be attending a really fun party. You could be going to a really fun event. There could be a little bit of pointed conversations with a friend or someone in a social circle because of that Mercury-Mars conjunction. But this might also be a really genius idea you want to move forward in terms of your future. You might be getting clarity on what it is that you want to do, Capricorn, around this time. On the 31st, Venus in your 9th house is trining Uranus in your 5th. Really nice time to take a trip with a partner, travel with a partner, or if you're looking to meet someone and you're traveling around this time, you might meet somebody unexpectedly or in a way that is surprising to you, Capricorn. So let's get you a card and see what's coming up for you in October. Oh, we have the 3 of Pentacles. Very team-based month for you, of course, with all the planets moving into Scorpio and that eclipse. You're going to be connecting with groups of people, teams of people, maybe reconnecting with groups of people, maybe going back to some friendships, maybe finding yourself more interested in certain communities, working on certain things with other people. And I also feel with the 5 of Swords underneath, bear in mind that if you're going to fight with your friends or have conflict with your friend, ask yourself, at what cost am I willing to do this? If you are having an argument with them, ask yourself, what's the end goal? Do you actually want to leave this friendship behind? Do you want to lose this friendship? Or do you want to sort things out? And that can help you discern what to do next. that is what I have for you, Capricorn. I hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Aquarius, welcome to October. So Aquarius, this month is putting so much focus on your wisdom, on your higher education, on what you're learning, and on traveling. A lot of you could be traveling quite a bit. With this solar eclipse happening in your 9th house, I feel like a lot of you could be traveling for, with Venus being in your 8th house, you could find travel to be quite an experience, because Venus is ruling this new moon solar eclipse. So if you are traveling, if you're taking trips, if you're taking vacations, or you're traveling for work, this could be something that's incredibly profoundly changing for you, something that's very transformative, something that maybe shifts your perception of the world, something that maybe changes your reality. I would suggest for you, if you're interested in it, look at your astrocartography, see where your different lines are, where your Venus line is. When you're traveling somewhere, look at the astrocartography and see what is showing up for you, and then compare it to your chart if you can, or you can just look at the very basics of it. Like if it's your Venus line, it could be love, it could be money. If it's your Saturn line, you could be feeling very restricted there, or whatever it is. Do look up your astrocartography if you can, Aquarius, or you can get it done in a reading with an astrologer. You can even do it with me if you want, but I'm not pushing my readings. But you could find that this month there's some very fated changes when it comes to the travel that you're taking. The places that you're going could change you on a transformational level. They could actually make you face your fears. They could make you face your phobias. Perhaps some of you are afraid of flying and you're getting that flight this month. Perhaps some of you were very nervous about traveling alone and you're doing it this month. Whatever it is, it feels like travel could change you profoundly. And this might also be a time where you are perhaps, there's something happening at university, at college. You could be starting university or college. I know it's October. It's not really necessarily the beginning of a semester for a lot of places, but you could actually be deciding you want to take this course instead. You want to pursue this degree. Or you could be finding yourself going full steam ahead into a particular path of study, doing exams, getting results, whatever it is. It's a new beginning in that area. Perhaps you're deciding you want to study something new entirely, and this is going to require a lot of change. For some of you, it could be psychology, it could even be astrology, because as I say, the solar eclipse is in Libra, Venus rules Libra, Venus is in Virgo, which is your 8th house of transformation. So that is happening for you, Aquarius. I feel like there's a very significant travel opportunity coming for a lot of you in October. It seems to be something that really does have a profound effect on you from a psychological perspective, and it really changes the way that you view the world. With it being Venus in your 8th house, I feel like it could also be a time where if you're traveling to a different country, there could be a lot of taboo energy. So maybe you're going somewhere like Amsterdam, or maybe you're going somewhere where there is a lot of 8th house energies. I can say nada on this channel without getting demonetized. So take the hint. You could be traveling somewhere that's kind of raunchy or spicy, with it being in the 8th house, or you could be getting a lot of attention if you go to those areas. Or if you're in a relationship traveling with a partner, it could be very spicy as well. So that is, that's the best I can do with what I want to say. So you know what I mean. I do feel like travel and those type of things and higher learning and higher education and your perspective of the world is all, up for grabs this month, Aquarius. That's where your fated changes are occurring. We also have fated occurrences happening with your Taurus house, which for you is of course your 4th house of home and family, your living situation. A lot of you could be moving in October. You could be selling a house. You could be buying a house. There could be fated changes within your home and your family around the 28th of October when we have that lunar eclipse in your 4th house. This is something that you likely already know about, because this has been going on since November 2021. Fated changes when it comes to your living situation, your property, your home, who lives there, where you live, your family members, your parents. There could have been a lot of changes happening there for a lot of Aquarius risings. And not all of it easy, I will say. I just want you to know that I sympathize. Changes happening within your home, within your family, with people within your home, with people within your family can be very raw. And that's what an eclipse in the 4th house is. It's the Cancerian energy, the 4th house, a crab that is, it has a hard shell. And when it's exposed, it's very vulnerable. It changes into its new form. And it can feel very vulnerable when there's changes happening, either with where you live. In fact, they say that one of the most stressful things you can do to your body is move house. But changes within your family, within your parents or such, can be very raw and very emotional. I feel though for you, Aquarius, this does look positive. It does look positive because it is conjunct Jupiter. So this could be a really positive move for you. This could also be expansion of your family. This could be expanding your home, renovating, adding to your home. Jupiter tends to expand and grow things. So you could be adding on a west wing. I don't know. You could be adding on a garage, or you could be putting on a new floor. You could be moving in general. Whatever it is, Aquarius, it feels expansive and it feels good, I think. You know, eclipses are very fated. We don't have much control over them, but this is timing for when it, you know, your home and your living situation and your family. This is like a divine timing that you don't have much control over. Mercury is going to be conjunct Mars in your 10th house. So I feel like you could be getting significant news from a man around this time, or someone in a position of authority, because that's happening in your 10th house. There could be news about work. You could also find that maybe a change in property or a change in living situation or family is helping you go full steam ahead when it comes to something you want to change for your career. Because there's a lot of emphasis on career, Aquarius. Mars enters your 10th house on the 12th. So your energy is going to be going towards work, wanting to show up, wanting to be driven. You could have some clashes with authority. I'm not going to lie. You could find if you have a boss, they're irritating you. You're clashing with someone in the workplace, someone in a position of power, because they're pushing you or you're pushing them, or you feel like there's this weird psychological thing going on. You don't quite know what it is, but you know that it unnerves you or it unnerves them. It's kind of covert because it's Scorpio energy. But usually Mars transiting Scorpio is quite personal. It's emotional welfare. So you may be finding yourself clashing with someone in a position of authority, but you might also be putting your heart and soul into something you want to achieve work-wise, Aquarius. I do think as well, the 18th, 19th, 20th, there does seem to be news surrounding your education, your higher education, or travel plans, or that could be a very significant time when you're traveling. In fact, I feel like around the 14th specifically seems to foretell travel or a travel plan, or making a travel plan or something like that for you, Aquarius. I also want to note that Pluto goes direct on the 10th in your, well, it stations direct in your 12th house of secrets. So a lot of you could feel when Pluto shifts energy, it usually feels quite big. There's usually something that happens in the world. For you, it's very internal. You could have a very intense dream around the 10th. It could be kind of prophetic, I will say that. You could have a psychic dream, a premonition. You could have clarity on something that you need to do, you need to let go of, you need to not do, sometimes with Pluto, or you need to change. It could be a lot of clarity. And then when the sun enters your 10th house from the 23rd, we have all these planets in your 10th house, and it just adds to the fact that this is a new chapter for you career-wise. Full steam ahead, all systems go. There's something that you really want to do, Aquarius, something that you really want to achieve, something that you can do now that you couldn't do before. You know, there was a lot of cutbacks and a lot of losses in your career prior. Now I feel like you're getting this momentum, this energy to go full steam ahead, and it may be because of some hard work and restriction you've done financially. So that could have been saving money for something, you know, squirreling away money for a rainy day, and now you have the opportunity to invest it in your career. So your financial responsibility may be you may be able to invest that into your career, Aquarius, because you are becoming more fiscally responsible, I guess is the term. Let's get you a tarot card and see what comes up. Oh, the Death card, Scorpio energy. There's definitely change afoot. This is Scorpio season. So I do feel like a lot of you are going to undergo very significant changes. There could be something that you're absolutely letting go. With the Eight of Pentacles, some of you could be leaving a course of study, or some of you could be ending a degree prematurely, or you could be letting go of one source of study to study something else, or you could be studying something taboo. You could be studying something psychological. You could be studying something Scorpiophonic, so a mystery, criminology, something investigative. You could be getting absolutely obsessed with something that you're researching in October, Aquarius. That is what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Pisces, welcome to October. Pisces, I hope you don't mind the storm that we have outside. It's very October energy though, I think. It's kind of spooky, it's kind of Halloween-y. And this suits you because this is your 8th house season, Libra season. And we have a solar eclipse there, a new moon solar eclipse in your 8th house. Now, since July, there's likely been changes to your finances. Now, as a Pisces rising in particular, Pisces risings are very financially independent because they have a second house. They have Aries in the second house. So whenever you have Aries in the second house, you tend to want to make money by yourself, by your individuality, by what it is that you are. in essence. You want to have that independence, that entrepreneurial spirit when it comes to your finances. So you're leaning into that energy more so now, where perhaps you are making more money for yourself. You've had a change in your finances, maybe a raise, maybe a promotion, maybe a role that makes more money, or opportunities to make more money. Maybe your services, your prices have increased. Whatever it is, Pisces, it feels as though you've really, focused in a new direction when it comes to your finances and your money. You might be more interested in money overall with this energy. And that's not to make you sound materialistic, but money is important to live, to survive, to do things. As Homer Simpson say, money can buy goods and services. I really hope you understand that, that reference. But anyway, this season is actually more focused on the money that you receive from other people. So the South Node is there. And we have this new moon solar eclipse happening in your 8th house. Now, that can of course be that there's a new beginning financially for you in terms of your spouse's money, your partner's money. That could be that you enter a new relationship where you're going to be financially connected. So this could also be that you're maybe beginning a new way of paying your taxes. This could be money from the government. This could be a mortgage that you're getting or something like that, maybe a loan. But I feel like for a lot of Pisceans, because this eclipse is ruled by Venus and Venus is in your 7th house of relationships, for a lot of you, this could be a new relationship. And this could be somebody who is very deep because it's the 8th house. So someone who really, it would be a very deep, intimate relationship where you might have to face some fears to be with this person. You might have to face some fears and go deeper with someone. This might be someone who really matches you at an intimate level that you feel your soul is connected to. It almost could feel like a soul craving for this person. This could be someone who is perhaps taboo in some way. This could be a taboo relationship. This could be a mysterious relationship. This could even be a secretive relationship, Pisces. But because Venus is in your 7th house and will be for both eclipses, I do think, as both eclipses are ruled by Venus, that this could be a very fated month for you when it comes to relationships and partnerships. So this could be a new beginning in a relationship. You could be joining financially. Maybe you're getting a mortgage together. Maybe you're starting a business together. This could be a person coming in that it is just fated. You just look at this person and think, you're my soulmate, you're the one. And it could be a relationship that is very significant to you, Pisces. Now, because Venus around the time of this eclipse is going to be quite close in opposition to Saturn, it may require you to sacrifice something, but it may also be very important that you have boundaries going into this. So if there are relationship changes or you're entering a new relationship, make sure you have your boundaries in place. You're really maturing and growing as a person. So perhaps this could be someone who's a little bit older than you or a little bit more emotionally mature than what you're used to. Could be happening for you, Pisces. I will say on the 2nd, there's something interesting happening going on with your relationship life because Mercury is opposite your ruler. So your 7th house ruler is opposite your 1st house ruler. And you could feel like there is something occurring around this time when it comes to your relationships. There's an important communication. There's an important conversation that perhaps is a bit confusing with the opposition. Maybe you're confusing somebody or someone is feeling a little bit confused by you and what it is that you're saying or what it is that you're doing, or you maybe meet somebody or you interact with someone and you're thinking, what is this? Because Venus is also trining the North Node at this time. So with Venus in your 6th and the North Node in your 2nd, this could be through work or this could be through everyday activities, going to the gym or being in the doctor's office or something. But I feel like there is something with your 7th house ruler and your 1st house ruler opposing each other where you're looking at somebody one-on-one and thinking, what is this? What is this gonna be? This feels very, it has the potential to be very mystical and very magical, but it could initially be kind of confusing. So there could be a little bit of, there's a really interesting conversation going on in your relationship life, Pisces. This could even be that you hear from someone and you think, what is this? There's not that much clarity, but it feels as though a very significant conversation is taking place and you might not necessarily know what it means until later. So Mars enters your 9th house on the 12th and we're then going to have Scorpio season coming up on the 23rd. So there's energy shifting into your 9th house. You could be learning something, you could be teaching, you could be focusing on your studies, you could be focusing on your higher education. You could also absolutely be traveling, Pisces. Especially from the 12th onward with Mars ruling your 9th house, being and transiting your 9th house. You could be traveling, you could be feeling more inspired to travel. You might take a solo trip around the 13th or you might plan a solo trip around the 13th. But from the 22nd onwards, when Mercury enters your 9th house, the Sun enters your 9th house, and they're both going to be trining Saturn in your sign, I feel like you are feeling really, if you are traveling, you're feeling really good about who you are, where you go. You're feeling more mature, you're feeling more responsible, you're feeling quite, there's something about it. If you're taking a trip, you feel more mature, you feel more together, you feel more proud of yourself. It feels, you may also be traveling quite light with Saturn being in your sign. So you could be taking an impromptu trip, for example, and maybe deciding that you're not going to take that many clothes. You're just going to pack an overnight bag and see where the wind takes you. But there is a lot of fun and joy coming from traveling in October. There is something fated about a trip in October for you, though, Pisces, because we have a full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus on the 28th. Which is in your sector of short distance trips. So it does feel like at the very end of October, a lot of Pisceans, maybe even into November, are going to be traveling. The lunar eclipse being in your third house means you could be taking a short distance trip, hopping to a different state, driving in the car to a different state, getting a short journey plane rides, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours maximum, taking a short trip. And of course, with so much in the ninth house, it doesn't have to be short, but it feels as though there is a trip happening for you. And if it's not that, I'll get to that in a second. But if you're traveling, Mercury is conjunct Mars in your ninth house. Mercury rules your seventh house, Mars rules your second, and your ninth house. You might, if you're traveling, meet somebody where you've a really interesting, they're a really good conversationalist. So you could have really good conversations with people if you're traveling. You could absolutely meet a fated relationship traveling, because the full moon is ruled by Venus, and Venus will be in your partnership sector, and it will be closely trining Uranus in your third house. If you're traveling around the end of October, Pisces, and you're single, you may meet someone. If you're in a relationship, you could be traveling with them, and it could be really exciting. Could be quite fated. So maybe some of you are getting engaged with Venus trine Uranus. You don't see it coming. Now you do. I've ruined the surprise. I'm sorry. Sorry. It doesn't have to be, but it could be that there's something quite exciting, surprising happening in your relationship sector at the very end of the month through a traveling experience. Or you could also be perhaps beginning a long distance relationship, or a relationship with some kind of distance, with all these planets in Scorpio and the lunar eclipse activating your sector of travel. So you could be beginning a long-term relationship, or if you're traveling, you could hear from somebody exciting. And if you're in a relationship, you could be making travel plans with a partner. You could be deciding that you want to learn something new. You're deciding that you want to, perhaps for some of you, go to university. Perhaps for some of you, you want to take a new course. And since November 2021, when the eclipses in Taurus and Scorpio began, you maybe have got a new qualification, a new certification, a certificate. You've learned a new skill. And so this eclipse coming up might be the finale of that, saying that, say, for example, you're like me and you did Reiki 1 and Reiki 2. Maybe in October you're thinking, I actually want to go and be a Reiki master. If you did courses like that, this eclipse could be saying, this is what I want to do. Or you want to learn something new. Or maybe you're thinking, I want to travel more. Or you might be having something come up with a sibling. Because the third house rules siblings, also rules cousins, and it rules neighbors. So there could be something happening there. There could be a change going on in the life of a sibling. I feel with Jupiter, it could be positive. It could be that they're expanding their awareness. They're growing philosophically. Maybe they're more optimistic about something. Maybe they're growing as a person, and maybe they're bringing you some kind of blessing as well. Or there's good news surrounding a sibling or a cousin or a neighbor, Pisces. Let's see what we've got for you for October 2023. So we have the Four of Cups and then the Ace of Pentacles. A lot of you are going to be offered something financially in October, and I feel as though you might not want to take it, or you might be missing financial opportunities, perhaps because of the South Node being in your 8th house. You could be not keeping an eye out for financial opportunities, Pisces. Do keep an eye on your inbox, because I feel like there's going to be important conversations and communications coming to you. And I just sort of sense with this Four of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles that maybe you could run the risk of missing opportunities this month, Pisces, because you maybe are daydreaming, or maybe you have your head in the clouds or something like that. So just be mindful of not missing opportunities. I'm also getting a very clear message here. Don't ignore your finances. Just don't spend blindly and then not check your account. Don't not check your credit score. Don't ignore letters from the bank or whatever it is. Also be mindful of your money and pay attention to your communications, because I think a lot of you could get an important message this month that perhaps, with the Mercury Neptune opposition, you could be prone to missing. So do make sure that you're checking your inbox and things like that, Pisces. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hey Aries, welcome to October. So Aries, you might notice the background is a bit brighter for you. I'm filming this the day after the first half of the video, and the first half of the video had a storm. Now we don't. We have nice calm weather with a little bit of sunshine. So this isn't going to have the rain sounds and the spooky ambiance of the first half of the zodiac. Well, the first half, really the second half, I started with Libra and moved forward, but you're getting a little bit more of a sunny spell, I guess, with your horoscope. So Aries, for you, this is you're one of the signs most significantly impacted by this month. And the reason being is that we have so much cardinal energy. We're beginning eclipse season, and we have a solar eclipse in your sister sign of Libra. Now, we are beginning the month with the full moon energies that, the full moon energies of your sign on the 29th of September. So we're still rolling into the month with that. You're still going to be feeling that on the 1st or 2nd of October. And the full moon really was a good indicator of where you're at emotionally when it comes to the North Node transiting your first house of self. And the way that this is playing out for you, Aries, is that perhaps you're realizing how you really feel about yourself, who you really are. You may be uncovering some layers. You may be leaning into new directions that are more self-focused. You're maybe moving away a little bit from certain partnerships and relationships in your life that are not in alignment with who you're becoming and the direction that you're going in this lifetime. And perhaps that full moon was bringing your attention to this. Now, Libra season for you is, of course, a time where your partnerships and your relationships tend to take center stage. Now, the difference about October is that the South Node is there. And Mars, your ruler, and the South Node are going to connect exactly on the 4th of October. And then we have a new moon solar eclipse in the same sector on the 14th. So when it comes to your relationships and your partnerships, for a lot of people, particularly Aries rising, it may be a case where you're wanting to let go of a partnership or relationship that is becoming draining, that is really taking away from who you are. It's really draining you of your connection with self, your relationship with yourself. And this does not have to be romantic. It can be any kind of relationship in your life, be it a best friend, be it a business partnership. And of course, it can be a relationship, yes, but it feels as though you're really moving away from relationships that drain you and drain your energy and drain your sense of self more than anything else. Because the solar eclipse is adding to the message that there is this new beginning happening for you in your relationship sector. And for a lot of people, sometimes new beginnings in the relationship sector do indicate moving away from a partnership. Now, they can just as easily indicate moving towards a partnership. Now, because the South Node is involved, this can, of course, be cases where maybe you are reconnecting with a past relationship, but it can also just as easily, and I find this to be quite common with South Node 7th house activity, you can connect with someone that feels like a past life relationship, someone that you feel like you've known before. They're familiar, there's a sense of familiarity there, there's an immediate sense of camaraderie and a sense of knowing the person. So for some people who are single, they can really connect with a relationship that perhaps, could be somebody from the past, but it could also just as easily be someone that just feels very familiar and you feel like you've known them before. It can also be that doesn't have to be romantic too. It could be that this is a best friend where you feel instantly like you know them. It's almost my experience of recognizing people from past lives, because I do believe in it and I look at it in synastry and I've studied it quite a bit. I do think that when you meet someone that is a past life connection, it is almost as if when you meet them, the second you meet them, your brain takes a photograph. So even if you meet them once and you don't see them for years, your brain has this photograph of the very first moment you met them. You remember the circumstances, you remember the feeling, and it's because your soul is remembering that person's essence, if that makes sense. That's what I think it is. But you could be perhaps meeting a friend that you feel like you've known for a very long time and you just instantly slip into that friendship. You could be meeting someone that you instantly slip into a relationship with, or someone who just feels familiar even in a business sense. You feel like you have a purpose together. But again, it can be that maybe you're connecting with someone from your past and you're connecting with them in a relationship perspective. That can be entirely possible with this solar eclipse happening in your 7th house and being very close to the South Node. And I kind of think for you, Aries, that if this was the case, because Mars, your ruler, is connecting the South Node in your 7th house, I kind of think that if there is someone from the past, it would be more so your movement towards the person than theirs. Could be the other way around, but I feel like you would maybe be more inclined to take the initiative of that. So before people in the comments start saying, I don't want an ex to come back, because I know that it's so common in the YouTube astrology tarot world for that to be thrown around. It doesn't have to be that. You know what I mean? You have free will. Astrology is not going to come in and physically cuff you to someone from your past. It doesn't work that way. The eclipse itself is ruled by Venus, and Venus is in your 6th house of work and service and wellness. So this could connect you to people relationship-wise that you work with, that you've worked with, that you maybe go to the gym with, that you maybe go to, you maybe know them through health matters, that they could work in a health or wellness industry perhaps if you're connecting with a relationship. For a lot of you, it does feel like there is a brand new, well, I would say for all of you, truthfully, with eclipses, there is a brand new chapter in your relationship life, be it hugely significant or be it not so significant. There does seem to be a new beginning impacting you, especially if you have Aries placements around 20, 21, 22 degrees. So you're feeling this the most. Your ruler Mars is moving from your relationship sector into your 8th house on the 12th. Now, Mars loves being in Scorpio. Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio. So when it's in Scorpio, it functions very well. So in your 8th house, the things that you may be inclined to pursue could be the occult. It could be mysteries. It could be conspiracies. You could have a lot of time for debates about conspiracy, or a lot of conversations about astrology, debates about astrology, or you could be really wanting to face your fears. I need to tell you this, Aries. When Mars transits your 8th house, you can be confronted with your fears and your phobias. That can be because you're subconsciously drawing it in. It can be because your soul knows it's time to face a few phobias, a few fears, or it can be because you are really pushing yourself to go after your fear. So I'll give you an example of this. I'm a Pisces rising, Mars transiting Libra, which it is until the 12th. I'm literally counting down the days until it leaves. Since Mars went into my 8th house, when it started transiting my 8th house, I've had to confront so many fears and phobias. And I will not tell you about the extreme stuff. I will tell you about, well, this might be extreme depending on what you feel about it, but I will tell you about one of the phobias. I have had a phobia of spiders. And I feel like this has only gone back a couple of years, but about the day after Mars entered my 8th house, I was taking back I have a lot of pillows in my bed. I have 6 pillows. That's not counting cushions, but I'm a Libra Venus, so I feel like cushy things are my thing. I was pulling back the pillows, and it was maybe an instinctual thing. I had to pull them back, but on my headboard, in the middle of the headboard, and this was last thing at night, was a huge spider. Huge. And I'm terrified of them. So I was able to get rid of that one, and I decided I was going to change my bedding because I was that spooked by this, and this is all in the dead of night, that I then thought, right, well, okay, if I've got rid of a spider in my room, at least the odds of there being another one are quite low. But no, lay down my head on the pillow and one ran across the pillow. There was another spider in my bed. So I had to face these 2 spiders. The same thing happened 2 weeks later. And then last night, after I filmed the first half of this video, one crawled up on my shoulder. So I have had to face them so many times. I wouldn't be surprised if one actually appeared in this video, but I've had to face it continuously. And by the time there was one on my shoulder, I was just like, I don't think I care anymore. I can't care anymore. I've had to deal with this too many times. I don't think I can be scared of these things anymore. It's almost like exposure therapy from the universe. That's what Mars in your 8th house can do. So just be mindful of that. If you have any phobias, it might be wise for you to decide to face them head on, because the universe will throw them at you instead if you don't. Just mindful. Although I think because Mars is transiting Scorpio for you in your Scorpio 8th house, I think you guys are going to be a lot better at pursuing phobias, pursuing fears, than I was, even though I have Mars and Scorpio nearly. I feel as though you're probably going to push yourself forward to something that scares you, and that's where that's the direction that you're leaning in October. Now, there is a strong chance of you communicating with someone from the past or a past life relationship. Again, as I say, this does not have to be a romantic relationship, but it is a relationship nonetheless. The 18th to the 20th, the Sun is conjunct the South Node in your relationship sector. Mercury is conjunct the South Node in your relationship sector the day after, and then the Sun Mercury cazimi is happening on the 20th in your relationship sector as well. There's a strong chance that there's something going on with an ex, or your current relationship with an old issue or a past life connection. So, you know, it seems as if there is something going on with past relationships, exes, towards the end of the month, or there might be something coming up within your relationship that needs to be resolved and dissolved with the South Node. Maybe something needs to be released, something needs to be let go of. This could be a way of thinking. This could be that you dream of an ex. This could be that you are finding yourself thinking of someone from the past. This could be that you are in your relationship considering or comparing events of the past in some way, shape, or form. So there's going to be some stuff comes up to be resolved and dissolved, as I say, with the South Node. We have a lot of eighth house activity happening towards the end of the month, Aries. So this month is very entirely focused on your relationships because the 7th house and the 8th house are relationship houses. So if you're in a relationship, there could be a lot coming up in the final quarter of the month from about the 22nd onward surrounding your joint financial ventures with a partner. If you're single, this could be your taxes, mortgages, this could be other people's money, government money, money that you are entitled to or owe from another source. And that can be true if you're in a relationship too. But a lot of focus is going there. And there are going to be money changes for you in October as well, because on the 20th, we have a full moon lunar eclipse in your 2nd house of income. And of course, then that is activating your 8th house where the sun is as well, because lunar eclipses are full moons. And this eclipse isn't as extreme as usual, but I do think for a lot of you Aries, this is going to benefit you financially quite substantially because it is going to be conjunct Jupiter. So your finances have the opportunity to expand for many of you. You could find yourself getting a pay rise and a pay increase, more money, or it could be that you actually have to spend a bit more money at this time with the conjunction to Jupiter. It's possible that you have something that you need to pay for that is quite big. So for some of you, you could be putting a down payment in a house. For some of you, you could be purchasing a car, whatever it is. Mercury and your ruler are conjunct in your 8th house at that time, meaning there's probably communications about finances, joint finances, or you're thinking about how to get a loan, how to get a grant, how to get a mortgage, remortgage, or something like that. It feels as though your mind is on your money at that time in the context of what somebody else could do for you or what you're doing for somebody else. There could definitely be communication around money matters at the time of that eclipse, and your finances may change. Your finances could increase substantially, Aries, as I say, with the conjunction to Jupiter, or it could be that you have to make a pretty big expenditure. And it might actually be that you have to make money. You have to spend money to make money. You know, you could be putting a lot of money into something that's going to be an investment for you, for a spouse, for a partner in the future. On Halloween, Venus is going to be in your 6th house, trining Uranus in your 2nd. So I do think the appreciation and the good job that you've done at work is going to potentially result in finances, or you may actually be an increase in your finances, a pleasant surprise. But it might also be that perhaps you have been investing a lot of money into your wellness and your health, and you're noticing a positive impact on that. So say you have been investing more money into going to a gym with better services, or you've been buying a meal plan or something like that. You're noticing the physical benefits of it in a Venusian way. So that could be that you're looking better, it could be that you're feeling better, or it could be that you're getting a lot of compliments and attention, Aries. So let's have a little look. I also think in terms of your career and your relationship to co-workers, with both eclipses being ruled by Venus and Venus being in your 6th house, there's a lot of benefits coming to you when it comes to your work, when it comes to your wellness, when it comes to your fitness. That's one of the areas you're being blessed in, Aries, and this area could bring a new relationship, it could bring an old relationship, it could bring positive changes in your finances, the work that you're doing in your job, or even the gym for some of you. Queen of Pentacles, yeah, the work that you're doing, you're very appreciated at work, you're very appreciated in your job, you're being seen really well. 2 of Swords, even if you can't see it, I feel as though there's something that you're indecisive about, which is very natural in Libra season with the 10 of Swords, Aries. So I'm getting the sense that when it comes to work or a person in your life, you're feeling very indecisive and very confused, and you're possibly debating back and forth in October what to do about this. that could be something that you're trying to figure out, because it might involve a big change for you. And so typically with eclipses, we don't necessarily make the change. The change happens to us. So try and surrender and go with fate if you have a decision to make. I know that it's not natural for your sign to surrender. You'd prefer to take action, but there are some stages in life with eclipses whereby it happens to us, for us, rather than us having to call all the shots. That's what I have for you, Aries. I hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, Taurus. Welcome to October. So Taurus, we're going to hop, skip, and jump to the end of October because there is a full moon lunar eclipse in your sign. And this saga, this phase, this chapter of your life that was incredibly profound began in November 2021. So think back to November 2021, what was happening that month, the month after, and then particularly in January too, when the nodes changed signs. The North Node went into your sign and you became the main character in your life. You were forced to look at your lifestyle, who you were, how you dressed, how you styled yourself, what you were doing, what goals you had, your personality, your aesthetics. This has been a very profound chapter for you where you have been growing exponentially as a person. And adding to that is the fact that we not only have Uranus there since 2018, but we also have Jupiter there since May of this year until May of next year. You are still the main character. You're still the person who is growing the most. You're still the person who is leaning into your own identity and your sense of self. And it does not have to be in a selfish way. I do not feel that Taurus is an inherently selfish sign at all. But it is more about leaning into what makes you feel the energy of love, the energy of Venus, because that's your ruler. What makes you love yourself? What makes you accept yourself? What makes you feel that you are a prize? What makes you feel that you are worthy of a statue being made of you, basically. But this full moon lunar eclipse is the end of the eclipse cycle in your sign and your sister sign Scorpio. So for Scorpios and Taurus in October, this is really the end of a particular chapter of your life. And that may have come in the context of leaving behind relationships, understanding relationships better, your relationship life, your relationship patterns. It could have been a cycle breaker for you. And it could also have been a time where you now are realizing that you feel more yourself than ever. And perhaps you're feeling like, oh, well, actually, I would make very different choices now than I would have made this time in 2021 before these eclipses began. So this full moon lunar eclipse for you, Taurus, I actually really like this for you. Eclipses are so fated, they're so destined that they're not a time for manifesting, they're not a time for taking big action yourself unless it is really clear for you, unless you're really sure that this is what you need to do and the universe is sort of forcing your hand into making a decision or doing something. This eclipse is happening for you conjunct Jupiter in your sign. So there's more growth for you. I feel for a lot of you, you could be absolutely shining at the time of this eclipse. A lot of people could want to know you, want to know about you. You could be putting yourself out there. The ruler of both eclipses in October is Venus, your ruler. And Venus for you, Taurus, is going to be in your 5th house of love, romance, and joy. So I feel with this eclipse that's coming up on the 28th in your sign, being ruled by Venus in your 5th house, this is all about you having fun, having joy, feeling passion, feeling love. It could potentially bring romance into your life. For some of you, it could bring pregnancy into your life. For some of you, it could bring the birth of something. It's giving very birth of Venus, actually. So that might be a painting or art form that you're really looking at or getting inspiration from. I actually saw a beautiful birth of Venus. It was very abstract in a bathroom in Donegal. Of all places, this beautiful birth of Venus abstract painting. But it wasn't exactly the original. It was almost saturated more and kind of cartoony. But that's by the by. This full moon for you seems to me to be this kind of opportunity for you to grow even more. And maybe for some of you that are artistic, grow through your art, rediscover a talent, rediscover the joy and the love of something you do that is artistic, that is creative, that you feel is like a child or a baby that you're growing and then you're releasing out to the world and then you're watching it grow and you're watching people react to it and things like that. So there could be something beautiful happening for you around the time of that eclipse. Mercury and Mars are going to be conjunct in your 7th house of relationships. So This could be that you're having a very intense, important, directed conversation with a partner or potential partner, or you're having very clear insights and messaging as to what is an absolute deal breaker for you in relationships, what you absolutely need. For some of you, you could absolutely sever a relationship to be the best version of yourself. That could be a friendship, that could be a romantic relationship, that could be any kind of relationship. But it might just be that you have to assert a boundary, you have to assert yourself in the context of a relationship, or someone might have to call you out, Taurus, in a relationship sense as well. That can always be a possibility too. And I love for you that around the time of that eclipse, Venus in your 5th house is trining Uranus in your 1st. So with Venus being in your 5th house, you could be attending a party, having a really good time, and you could find that you have such a way with people. People find you really interesting. You're feeling interesting. You're feeling inspiring. You're feeling very free to mingle and free to enjoy the party, enjoy everything that's going on around you at that time, Taurus. So that eclipse is the most important part of October for you, I feel. Now, we do have a lot of 6th house activity happening until then. The solar eclipse on the 14th is going to usher in a new chapter for you, a new destiny for you when it comes to your health, when it comes to your well-being. So that could be that perhaps you are joining a gym. That could be that you're taking up a certain kind of workout. If you're feeling really called to do something or start something that is fitness or wellness related. So that could be something as simple as you're suddenly feeling really called to join a gym. You're starting to feel really called to fast. You're starting to feel really called to run. These are really strong indicators for you, Taurus, that this is the next chapter of your soul's growth. For some people, this may be that you're actually wanting to get into shape, and this spurs on a new career as a personal trainer, or you're learning about food intolerances, and next thing you know, you want to be a dietitian. You want to, it feels as though you want to be really focused on health for yourself. And this is going to require you to leave something behind because the South Node is there. So the first half of this month in particular, especially around the 14th for you, Taurus, you're really leaning in the direction of your health and your well-being, and this is kind of faded. So there's something that will come of this. There's something that will help you grow and develop as part of your next chapter as a person to be the healthiest that you can be. And this might also require maybe you to start a new job, to start a new work project. For some of you, this can be unpaid work. So the work that you're doing that is unpaid, that is, being of service to someone or something and to somebody. This could be a time where you're beginning a new chapter in that area, Taurus. But it feels as though for a lot of you, the direction that you're going is health. And with Venus being in your 5th house, you have to enjoy this. This has to be something that you're going to find fun. This has to be something that you're going to love, that you're going to enjoy, Taurus. So make sure that your health is your priority for the majority of October. And your health should be your priority in many ways all the time, but this is particular focus. The eclipse sometimes eclipses can trigger crises in your health. So you might want to pay attention to your body, to any physical symptoms you're experiencing, and really be proactive in doing something about it, Taurus. Venus being in your 5th house from the 8th makes this a really nice month from the 8th onwards, to go to parties, to go to social events, to have fun, to experience more pleasure in life. It's not a time to be completely work focused. Venus is your ruler, so when it goes through your 5th house, you might be more attractive to love, you might be more attractive to dating, or you might want to date more. Even if you're in a relationship, you might want to go out with your partner more, go for fancy dinners, have date night, that kind of thing. Mars does enter your relationship sector from the 12th, so I do think, Taurus, that until the 12th, with Mars being in your 6th house, the arguments, the frustrations are more to do with people being of service to you, people working for you, people delivering you a service. You could have been annoyed with them, let down by them. You could have been frustrated by them. Now it's going into your partnership sector. There could be some discord with your significant other or a significant relationship in your life. You could be more frustrated with them. They could be more frustrated with you. And this could, with the conjunction to Mercury around the time of the eclipse, this could escalate quite a bit. So try to be more direct, but what's the expression? Like an iron fist and a velvet glove with relationships, trying to make sure that they don't escalate too much for you, Taurus, although you are around the time of that eclipse really growing and developing as a person. So perhaps part of that is, as I say, laying down some boundaries with a relationship, asserting yourself in a relationship, or maybe even for some of you leaving a relationship, or perhaps even owning your part in a relationship. But as we move towards your relationship sector from the 23rd, there's so much focus on your partnerships, on your relationships, that you're going to have to pay attention to. They are going to take center stage. And I do think with Mars there meeting Mercury in the 28th, there could be some abrasiveness, there could be some confrontation, there could be some adjustments that need to be made. I feel for a lot of you with Mars conjunct the South Node around the 4th, when it comes to your health, you're ready to let go of something specific. I think this is a food, something you eat that you can't see the damage that it's doing. It's almost like, because Mars rules your 12th house of the unseen and self-sabotage, it could be an eating behavior, or it could be a food that is sabotaging behind the scenes, so you don't realize that this is what's doing it. So a lot of you could be giving up a particular food that you've realized, this is really bad for my skin, or it's really upsetting my stomach, or something like that. Or it could be that you have a particular habit that you feel is no longer working for you and you want to let that go. For some of you, it could also be a job. It could be something that you're doing, or it could be unpaid work that you're doing that is not working for you anymore. It's no longer in alignment with your best, I want to say energy levels. So let's have a little look. Yeah, Ten of Swords. There's something you need to give up. There's something you need to let go of. I would also say that for many of you, health-wise, make sure you're looking after your back. You could be doing something in October that's very hard on your back, and it is wanting you to maybe focus on, if you have any inkling that there's something wrong with your back, maybe looking for medical help, or someone who's like, I don't know if it's maybe looking into different ways that are better for your back. That could be yoga, that could be stretching, that could be proper ways of lifting something. But it's very clear to look after your back, Taurus. And with the Knight of Pentacles, that might be something as simple as slowing down and not doing as much, because it could be hurting your back, is something I'm really getting for you. That's what I have for you, Taurus. I hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, Gemini. Welcome to October. So Gemini, this month for you is not too bad. You know, you're not getting hit as much as the other signs with these eclipses, and I'll tell you why. Now, obviously, you have an individual chart. So if you have your moon in a fixed sign, you have your moon in a cardinal sign, you could be feeling this in any area. But as a Gemini rising or Gemini sun, it is not necessarily impacting your Gemini placements as much, unless your Gemini placements are around 25 degrees, because Neptune is going to be impacting you in some way. But you're not feeling the intensity unless you have, fixed or cardinal placements around 20, 21, 22 degrees of the cardinals, or you have fixed sign placements around 4, 5, 6 degrees. So let's talk about this. The solar eclipse is happening in Libra on the 14th for you, Gemini. This is going to be a time where you're really focusing on love. You're focusing on happiness, joy, pleasure. It feels with the solar eclipse in the 5th house, there could be something coming up that is fated, that is destined, that's going to make you quite happy. Eclipses for some people in the 5th house can bring about pregnancy. They can bring about the news of a birth. They can bring about a birth itself. So that could absolutely be something that's happening for you, Gemini. For some of you, because the ruler of that eclipse, Venus, is going to be in your 4th house, it could be that it's someone in your family that is having a baby, or there's an addition to your family, or someone in your family is pregnant, or there is a new chapter coming up with children in your family. That could be nieces, nephews, anybody, or your own kids. There could be a new chapter coming up. For others of you, this could be romance, and this could be meeting somebody through a family event, or someone who maybe already has a family, but it feels as though, or has had a family, but it feels as though you're perhaps beginning a new chapter that is going to focus a lot on joy and fun and love. Now, that being said, we have a lot of activity with the South Node in your 5th house in the first half of the month, particularly around the 18th, 19th, 20th of October. The Sun will conjunct the North Node, your ruler, Mercury, your ruler, will connect with the South Node in the 19th, and the Sun will connect with your ruler on the 20th. And this is a time period where there may be potential for some of you to hear from an old love interest, someone you used to date. You might run into them. You might reconnect with them. You might also find that there could be an old issue comes up with your children, or a secret comes out from your children or a child in your life. This could be that perhaps maybe for some of you, if you have children, they're leaving for college, they're leaving for university, they're moving house, or maybe they're telling you that they're an adult child, and they're telling you that they're divorcing their spouse or something like that. Divorcing their spouse or something like that. Mercury's out of shadow. I have no excuse to be messing up my words. Gemini, I'm sorry. But it feels as though there might be something kind of being dissolved when it comes to love, when it comes to children, when it comes to your creativity and your artistic endeavors as well, Gemini. So it could be that you have to let go of a particular thought pattern, maybe when it comes to dating, maybe when it comes to your love life in general. And that can be, for those of you that are taken, that you actually are realizing that not having date night is a terrible idea and you should still be dating your spouse once you're married or something like that. It's just an example. It's not a suggestion. So Venus is going to enter your 4th house of home and family from the 8th. Now, I will say for Geminis, you've not had it the easiest when it comes to family matters, I feel, because in Virgo season, we had a lot going on with your 4th house. We had the Mercury retrograde. We had the oppositions to Saturn. And I get the sense that perhaps, especially around the 10th when Venus opposes Saturn, you could feel a little bit like if you're a parent and you have a child, there's a parent-child dynamic, or you're having this dynamic with a parent, there's an opposing energy where you just feel like you're at a standoff with somebody and you can't quite seem to see eye to eye. This could also be in a property matter. This could be with the government. Maybe you're wanting planning permission for something and you just can't seem to see eye to eye together. Initially in parts of October, it's best to realize that with oppositional energies that you can meet in the middle, but it might take a bit of time on the matter. And with it being in mutable signs, it's a little bit better because people might bend a little bit more. They might be a little bit more inclined to be flexible. But I do think with Venus entering your 4th house from the 8th, matters of home and family may improve because you may be finding that it is easier to get along with people in your family. It's easier to furnish, renovate, change your home, the aesthetic of your home. It's easier to find nice things for your home to decorate. Some of you could have some really beautiful Halloween decorations or fall decorations. And family matters may improve with Venus being there, especially because we have 2 eclipses that are ruled by Venus. And obviously Venus, it's not the strongest in Virgo. That's for sure, but it's still Venus, and it's still this Venusian energy that may be manifesting through acts of service. It might be manifesting through making someone a sandwich, making someone a cup of tea, but it's still there. It's still playing out in the sign of Virgo. So this could be that you're finding someone in your home, a roommate. If you're upset, you find that they're making you cups of tea to make you feel better, making you food if you are finding yourself upset and having trouble eating, or they could be perhaps someone in your family could be showing up at your house with cake or helping you out with something so that you feel better. I feel like with the eclipse being in your 5th house of love, home, family, and not family, children, but it being ruled by your sector, Venus in your sector of family, it does feel that if you want to meet somebody, romantically speaking, maybe ask your family if they know anybody. Like maybe ask if they have a friend or they know someone who's single or something like that. Or it could be as well that if you have children in your family, maybe you're developing the relationship with them that little bit more. Gemini. Now, I will say, I think we have a lot to say about the lunar eclipse in Taurus because since November 2021, we've had a series of eclipses in Scorpio and Taurus. And Scorpio as an energy has been an energy of loss for a lot of people, of grief for a lot of people, of letting go, facing fears and transforming. For you, the full moon being in the sign of Taurus, it feels as though you have had to let go of something or someone has left your life. Full moon lunar eclipse could be the energy of, in Taurus, it could be the energy of grief in some way that you have been experiencing since November 2021. Around that time, there could have been something going on for you that was very challenging, very tough, and you've had to grieve since then or from then or something like that. But it feels like this lunar eclipse conjunct Jupiter, it feels like growth. It feels as if you're growing. It feels as if you're developing. It feels as if you're ready to expand. Some of you, if you're feeling the loss of something, maybe a relationship, maybe a person, maybe a job, you're actually realizing, do you know what? I need to travel. I need to go somewhere. I need to take a trip, or I need to study this. So say, for example, you went through a really big heartbreak with somebody in that time period, you might be finding with the conjunction to Jupiter of this eclipse that you could actually teach and inspire people going through the same thing. Or you want to learn everything you have to know about the subject so that you can help people. It does feel with the lunar eclipse being in your 12th house that you could be psychologically triggered a little bit, but this eclipse feels so much better than the one last November that was conjunct Uranus. It wasn't as shaky in that sense. We do have a lot of energy still going into November, but I kind of get this sense that you are going to be letting go of a particular chapter of your life because you're expanding, because you're growing, and you're developing, Gemini. We have Mercury conjunct Mars at the time of this eclipse in your 6th house. From the 23rd of October, I suggest that you make your health and your well-being your absolute priority. Getting the exercise you need, getting the nutrition that you need, doing something good for your body, focusing on wellness. Maybe for some of you with that Mercury conjunct Mars energy in your 6th house, you're feeling inspired to take up something that requires you to be more agile, that requires you to be flexible, that requires you to be bendy. So for some of you, that could be yoga. For some of you, that could be that you're taking up some kind of exercise that could, I feel like with Mercury, it could be running. It could be something that you have to be quite agile to do. Or you could be focusing on maybe becoming more agile in your health. So bending, I just get bending from this, needing to be more flexible, needing to be more agile, and needing to be mentally stimulated by what it is that you're doing for your health. So this could be something that requires a lot of focus that you're taking up, Gemini, in order to have better health. There is a trine from Venus in your 4th house to Uranus in your 12th on the 31st. So I feel like when it comes to home and family matters, there might be some progress on an issue unexpectedly. Your family or your living situation might improve based on something that you didn't see coming, something behind the scenes, work that someone else has been doing behind the scenes. There could be some positive news going on when it comes to your home or family matter or member. I wanted to say member, so maybe matter, in October. So let's get you a card, Gemini. I will say on the 2nd of October, it could be a bit confusing because we have this Mercury opposition to Neptune in your 4th house, 10th house. It feels as if there's still that 4th house, 10th house opposing energy whereby you might find yourself in a standoff with one of your children, in a standoff with a parent, where you just don't feel like things are moving forward. The 2nd is not the time to throw the toys out the bathwater because it's a bit confusing. You might just not know what's going on. You might not know what's going on with a boss. You might not know what's going on with an authority figure because it's very confusing. But the next day, Mercury is going to trine Pluto, and you might have a bit of a clearer direction and understanding of what needs to change. 10 of Swords, Taurus got this too. I think that eclipse in the 12th house is asking you to let go of something. We have the Page of Wands. So this might be a project that you've been doing. We also have the Knight of Cups, but it came up. I mean, I don't read reversals, so I'm not going to do that. But for some reason, this was reversed in my deck, which is usually how I know someone else has been playing with them. But I think for you, Gemini, it feels as though you're having to let go of an old attitude. What I'm getting from this Page of Wands is apples and oranges. So there's an expression in that, but I'm not so sure what it is. Apples and oranges. Because he looks like he's in an orangery. So that might be significant for some of you, but you're letting go of maybe a way of communicating. I actually think a lot of you could be letting go of a way of communicating with someone in particular that you love very much. It doesn't have to be romantic, but someone that you do love, that you just feel like you're not getting through to. I do think for some of you, that eclipse is speaking to me as the grief that you've been experiencing of something. And grief does not have to actually have resulted in a complete loss, but it can still be feeling very upset and very hurt by something that's happened. And I think you're learning, Gemini, with that eclipse in the 5th house, how to lean into the energy of love, whether that's unconditional, whether that is love for yourself, love for another person, and finding love in situations that feel very tricky, to be honest, is what I'm getting for you as part of your energy for October. But that's what I have for you, Gemini. I hope you have a great month, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, Cancer. Welcome to October. So Cancer, the lighting's different because I filmed the first half of the video in a storm, and now it's dry. It's the early morning. It's kind of chill, and it feels a bit unsafe to be wearing leopard print this early in the morning. I don't know why, but I wanted the continuation of the video. But Listen, October is a very important month for you. We have a new moon solar eclipse happening in your 4th house of home and family. And you're the sign that is associated with the 4th house. So it feels very emotionally raw, vulnerable for you. And it can be that feeling of having the shell ripped off you and you're stepping into a new shell. For some of you, that could literally be a move. That could be that you're moving home. That could be that you're buying a new home, you're selling a home. This eclipse is very closely linked to the South Node. So truthfully, Cancer, a lot of you could be letting go of a property, letting go of a home, letting go of a concept surrounding home, surrounding family, and what your family life should look like or you want it to look like. It could be that you're moving away from a particular style of parenting. It could be that you're moving away from a particular way of dealing with your family. Some of you could be moving away from a family in general. Some of you could be moving away from the family home, something like that. There feels like there is a change coming to you when it is, pertaining to your family and your living situation, because this is a solar eclipse and they're associated with new beginnings. And the energy started to shift in July. So what was going on for you in terms of your home and living situation and your career in July? A lot of you with this solar eclipse being in the 4th house, you might be finding that you're being called to come out of the home. Now, Cancer is naturally, in most cases, a bit of a homebody, likes to be behind the scenes, likes to be at home, likes to be with their family. The North Node is now in Aries and it has been there since July. So since July, you might have been forced out of your home. You might have been forced out of spending so much time at home because you maybe took on a new role, a new job, a new career. And around this time of the 29th of September, we had the full moon in Aries, your 10th house, and that energy permeates into the 1st and the 2nd of October. So you might be getting clarity on what you need to do in terms of your career. And the obvious truth is that you need to be seen, you need to be visible. Your public image in your career is going to be very important. It's where you're going to grow the most over the next couple of years. Now, this does not mean that you have to abandon your family. This does not mean that you have to be permanently out of the house, but it just means that you're being pushed in the direction of your career. And it means that you're being pushed in the direction of forming your own public image, having your own career, having your own role that you're passionate about, that you feel like you're growing in, you feel like you're developing in. But this solar eclipse might bring some changes when it comes to your home and your living situation. So perhaps for your new career, your new job, or to grow, you have to come out of the house, or you have to move, or you have to sell, or you have to begin a new chapter with your home and your family, and maybe even your parenting style, Cancer. When it comes to your home and family, we have on the 18th, the 19th, and the 20th, a lot of South Node activity, which means you have to let go of something, move away from something, change something. Now, the Sun is conjunct the South Node on the 18th, and then the Sun is conjunct Mercury on the 20th in your 4th house of home and family, and the Sun rules your finances. So this could be that there needs to be financial change when it comes to your home, your property. Then it connects with Mercury. Mercury for you rules your 12th house. So this could be hidden expenses that need to be taken care of around that time when it comes to maybe a renovation, a property change, or money that you have to pay maybe for children or for a family event or something like this. Cancer. Pluto on the 10th is going direct in your 7th house of relationships. So you might feel a bit scared around the 10th, and that can be because Pluto, when it changes direction or it stations, as will be the case in the 10th, we tend to feel the energy of Pluto. So we can become obsessive, we can become fearful, we can have phobias, we can have bad dreams. For you, you might have a dream that your significant other cheats on you. You might have a dream that your significant other leaves you. You might, if you're single, have a dream that you never meet anybody and you die alone. Something like that. A fear surrounding a relationship might come up around the 10th. Venus is going to be opposite Saturn, so there is this sense of feeling challenged in relationships for everybody. But I think for you, because Pluto is going to be stationing, that you might be feeling this fear, this fear surrounding relationships, but you might also just feel really inspired to change and transform your relationship life, change your marriage. You could be finding your spouse or your partner a bit more obsessive, a bit more, and hopefully, I will say, I don't mean this to sound cavalier or anything like that. I don't want it to sound like I'm just saying this is what it is. But you could be finding that if you're in a relationship that is very toxic. It's become very obsessive, very controlling. You might decide this is the time that you feel you can get out. This might be the time that you feel you can move out of the house. You might feel like this is the time that you can get away from that person. But it can also just be manifesting as jealousy in an ordinarily healthy relationship. Or it could be that a secret actually does come out from your partner, or you have a secret to tell your partner around the 10th, truthfully. Cancer, because there does seem to be something happening with Pluto, and it could just be very much, internalized fear, facing a phobia or something like that. So Mars is going to enter Scorpio on the 12th, and that is your 5th house. So we start to move towards your 5th house season, which is more about fun, more about joy, more about pleasure. But Mars entering the 5th house can sometimes bring about a bit of challenges when it comes to your kids. They can be angry, they can be aggressive, they can be very challenging if you have them. Or it could be that if you're in the dating world, you're finding that you're dating or attracting people who are masculine. Now, this doesn't have to be that they're men, but they can be more masculine. They can be very sporty. They can be very direct. They could maybe be a bit cocky or something like that. With Mars going through your 5th house, you could be finding that you're very attracted to the people that you're dating, but they might be more masculine in nature. And this might also be that if you're doing something athletic or sporty, that it's a lot of fun for you. You're more interested in pursuing things that are fun, that are playful, that are joyful, and maybe even taking up a sport or a hobby that you did as a kid as an outlet for your excess energy. From the 22nd, Mercury moves into Scorpio, so there's a lot of conversation. If you're dating, you could get a lot of interaction on dating apps, or if you're in a relationship, you could find that you're being able to communicate about romance and the things that you want, or there's more communication about your children. There could be a bit of a confrontation with a kid around the time of the lunar eclipse if you have them, or a confrontation about a child, or a confrontation with someone that you're dating, because Mercury will conjunct Mars on the 28th, and that could really heat up the energy. But that could also be very passionate too. The full moon lunar eclipse is happening in Taurus. So Cancer, for you, Taurus is your 11th house, and the 11th house is to do with friendships, groups, teams of people. There might be somebody leaving a team that you're a part of. You might decide to leave a team. You might decide to leave a group of people behind, or someone in a group could be leaving you behind. Or you could actually be finding that your social group is actually expanding because Jupiter is there at the same time. So you might be making more friends. You might be spending a lot of time with friends around the 20th. I would bet that you probably are going to a social event or attending a social function, or you're spending time with a group of people, but there does seem to be changes happening, the teams, the groups, the societies that you're a part of around the 28th, Cancer. So do mind for that. On the 24th, the Sun being in your 5th house is going to trine Saturn in your 9th house. And if you have Cancer placements at 0 degrees, you're going to feel this quite nicely because you will be the missing component to a grand trine. So around the 24th, you might find that there is some... If you're in higher learning, if you're in higher education, you might be finding that you're really enjoying it, or you're going to a really nice party at your university, at your college, or you're feeling really appreciated for your talents, really appreciated for your hobbies, especially if they involve travel or they involve people from foreign locations, Cancer. Let's get you a card and see what comes up for you. Oh, King of Pentacles. A lot of you could be dealing with someone in a position of authority. This could be a Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, or someone at work. But an earth sign could be very prominent in your life, Cancer. Oopsies. 3 of Swords. Ooh. One more for you. Strength. Do you know what? You could have an earth sign in your life, a Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, who is either causing you a lot of pain or going through a lot of pain. And the message with the Strength card is to be strong, to lead with compassion, both for others and for yourself. But to choose strength, whatever that means for you, it will be dependent on your situation. But I do think there seems to be some pain coming from an earth sign, a Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising in your life. There is pain associated with this person. They're either going through it, or they're causing it to you, or you're causing it to them. And the Strength card is about being compassionate and being patient. So you might be choosing to lead from a place of strength. Yeah, the strength is coming from you with the Queen of Cups. So you might have to be very strong when it comes to a situation where somebody is hurting you or you're hurting them. You might have to lead with your heart on that one, and that will be dependent on your situation. Again, that's not advice, it is just the cards, so that will depend in different situations. But that is what I have for you, Cancer. I hope you have a good month, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Leo, welcome to October 2023. So Leo, I filmed the first half of this video in a storm when it was raining, and now the second half while it's sunny and very calm in the morning time. So you have a very different lighting, but the lighting is not great right now. It's sort of interfering, so I actually don't know if you can see me or not, but if you can't, just know that I'm wearing leopard print and I'm representing the felines. But let's talk about October. So Leo, this is going to be a month where you find that communication is key. Communication with others, communication with your siblings, your neighbors, people that you're connected to in your social networks is very important. So the reason for this is that the South Node is in your third house. So a lot of you could find yourself moving away from, distancing yourself a little bit, maybe from a sibling, maybe from a cousin, maybe from a neighbor, maybe from a neighborhood, maybe from a community, a local community. You could be moving away from it a little bit, or just creating a bit more of a distance because you're focused on other things. That could be that you're focused on traveling. That could be that you're focused on getting to know groups of people from different countries, people that are different nationalities, different backgrounds to you. That could be because you're going on to higher studies. So this could be, for example, say you have a sibling that you work with and you are now going off to university. So you're taking a bit of you're taking a bit of a step away from that person. Say you're going to university abroad. It just feels as if your focus, your quest at the moment, Leo, since July, is to travel more, is to explore foreign lands, is to explore foreign locations, to go off on voyages with other people, and maybe to move away from your more local communities, your more local neighborhoods. This could be that perhaps you're deciding you're now going to go on that dream trip, that destination trip, and you may have been figuring this out around the 29th of September when the full moon was in your 9th house. Could have been inspiring you to the next chapter for yourself when it comes to travel. But you are basically moving in the direction of foreign locations, higher learning, discovering new lands, and you're moving away a little bit from the communities and your social networks in your neighborhood. So that's going to be an important theme for you going forward, Leo. But the solar eclipse, and this is very important to you because you're ruled by the sun, so solar eclipses are huge for you. The solar eclipse is going to be happening in your third house. So while the South Node is asking you to move away from it a little bit, it's not asking you to completely cut it off. So for you, this could be a new beginning or a new chapter with a sibling, with a neighbor, with a cousin, with an aunt, with an uncle, your sort of extended family, or it could be a new beginning within your community, starting maybe a new workshop, starting something that you want to teach, starting something that you want to communicate to others. You have a new message for others. And because this is the South Node, this could actually be that if you're teaching something, it's a past life talent. It could be something that you've done before, something that you used to do, or it could feel like a soul calling in some way, shape, or form, Leo. But I feel like for a lot of you, this could also be a short distance trip in the interim, or planning a trip or somewhere that you want to go. Now, this is ruled by Venus in your second house. Venus from the 8th of October is going to be in your second house of money, income, and that is going to be the ruling energy of both eclipses this month. So when it comes to your finances, Leo, a lot of the changes that you're making are going to be financially motivated. So say you're deciding you want to teach a course, you could make a lot of money from this. With the eclipse in your 10th house towards the end of the month, this could also be something that you are increasing or investing your finances into. Finances are very linked to these eclipses for you, but also your values, what matters to you, what matters the most to you, what you feel is very true to your heart, what you feel is your main principle, your moral, for these career changes or for these trips that you're planning, Leo. But let's have a little look at that eclipse actually in Taurus towards the end of the month. So this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus is going to be conjunct Jupiter. So a lot of you might be taking on a more public image. You might be getting more exposure. You might be seen at work. You might be closing off a professional chapter. You might also be deciding that now is the time to be seen for the work that you're doing, or you could find yourself in the spotlight very much at this time, Leo. Your career is possibly changing. There could be an authority figure leaving your life, a mentor leaving your life. This could also bring the end of a particular chapter with a parent in your life. And this will be an ongoing cycle that you've been aware of since November 2021. So think back to November 2021 and think about what was happening for you at that time when it comes to your career, when it comes to your soul's purpose, when it comes to your parents, when it comes to authority figures. There could have been significant changes going on in your life around that time, give or take a month before, a month after. there could have definitely been significant changes occurring for you in those areas. And this full moon lunar eclipse is wrapping up that particular cycle for you. So this could be a time when you're noticing what all of that was leading you towards or pushing your soul towards so that you could grow and develop as a person. Good time to take inventory and see how much you have developed and changed as a person, Leo, especially in terms of the image you present to the world, your professional goals, your professional path, your status as a leader. In terms of your professional development, with Uranus going through your 10th house, you've been wanting to be financially free, more independent. It's not the energy that you really enjoy working for somebody else. So you might have been finding yourself climbing the ladder so that you had more power, more freedom, well, more freedom rather than power. You might have found that you branched out on your own into a particular line of work. Leo rising, the most likely to branch off into a spiritual path since 2018, to live a very unconventional life career-wise, to be a spiritual leader, to be a guru, to live off the grid, you know, to forge ahead in a career path that is a little bit different than the norm. Some of us have this natally. It's an energy that you need to grow into and understand that you can be unique and you can do things differently, and that's okay. You know, it can actually be very, very fulfilling to go off the beaten track. And even as a fixed sign, Leo can sometimes find that tricky, but that's with Uranus going through your 10th house, you're probably more inclined to want to work for yourself, to do something different, to be an astrologer, to be a tarot reader, to be a Reiki healer, to be a breathwork practitioner, to be a, you know, something that is very different than the norm. Maybe to be a juggler in the circus. It doesn't have to be spiritual, doing something completely different. But off the beaten track, and this full moon lunar eclipse conjunct Jupiter is asking you to grow and expand when it comes to your career. And you don't have to be, you know, working completely independently, but I think you're looking for more independence when it comes to your career anyway. But your career is growing under this eclipse. There could be something big happens. You might be taking on a position of power, a position of authority, because your boss is leaving and you're stepping in. So Leo, other things that are happening for you from the 23rd onwards, when we lead into Scorpio season, but sort of from, you know, when does Mars enter Scorpio? The 12th of October. From the 12th of October, we notice the shift back into Scorpio energy. The South Node left the sign of Scorpio in July, so we haven't had much Scorpio energy happening, bar the moon going in and out as it does once a month. But you will find with the Scorpio energy that a lot of your focus is going to be on home and it's going to be on family. Now, I will say, Mars going into the 4th house for you, there could be some challenging interactions with family members. Mars could bring some fights, it could bring some drama, it could bring some explosive energy between you and another person in your household or in your family. But it could also just as well make you more motivated to get your own home, to renovate your home, to decorate your home, to put a lot of energy into your home and your living space. Mars will put more energy into your home and living space. How that manifests is how you channel it and how you work with it. But from the 22nd, Mercury enters there, and Mercury will connect with Mars on the 20th at the time of the eclipse. There might be significant news you're sharing with your family that could be tense, or it could lead to tension, or it might be that there's a very important clearing of the air that needs to happen with you and a family member or your living situation or surrounding property for you, Leo. Now, Mercury does rule your friendships, so this can be with a friend, this can be also to do with the future, because Mercury is the 11th house, rules the 11th house of the future for you. So this could be an important discussion about the future. But we do have a lot of focus on your family, especially from the 23rd when the sun enters Scorpio for you, Leo. But just to backtrack a little bit, now we have discussed the solar eclipse being in your 3rd house, but around the 18th, 19th and 20th, there could be some important discussions where you have to go over old ground, maybe with a sibling, could be neighbor, could be with a community. And this could be a time when you get important news about a local community, a local group that you're a part of. Something could be closing, something could be ending, something could be in difficulty, and you might want to step in and help with it, Leo. But when Venus enters your 2nd house from the 8th, after having been in your 1st house for such a long time, you're going to be really focused on increasing your finances, and it would be more likely this month for you, Leo, that you could come into money, that you could make money. So if you have your own business, you might notice that money is improving. And if you are employed, you might notice that there's opportunity to increase your finances. I do think it might be from taking on a position of power or being more visible in the workplace, or even putting yourself forward for that, Leo. Just possibly not around the 9th, because Venus will be opposing Saturn in your 8th house. So if you put yourself forward for money, you might find that the people that could give you money are actually a bit restricted at the moment. So this could be something that comes into you more naturally with eclipses rather than you asking for it or forcing it, if you know what I mean. So that is what I have for you, Leo. Let me get you a tarot card or two. I keep getting fluff from this blanket into my tarot cards. Let's see what we've got for Leo in October 2023. 4 of Cups and the 2 of Cups. Ooh, and the 8 of Cups. Ooh, okay. I feel like you're rejecting a relationship or possibly moving away from a relationship in October. The Libra eclipses can do that. Now, that doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. I think for a lot of you, it could be a sibling. I think for a lot of you, it could be a neighbor or a community, but I see you kind of walking away from a pairing, you know, walking away from someone that you just don't feel like you're on the same page with anymore. You don't feel connected. You maybe feel a bit rejected. You could be moving away from friendships too, with the South Node being in the 3rd house. Leo. That could be something that is occurring for you. And with the North Node being in the 9th house, this 8 of Cups is making me think of travel, so taking a voyage. Maybe some of you are actually leaving some kind of relationship to go traveling, or you're having to leave a relationship because you're traveling, or it could be that perhaps taking time away and traveling from a relationship is making you realize it doesn't suit you anymore, it doesn't work for you anymore. But I do think a lot of you could be moving away from some kind of relationship, partnership, or dynamic in your life that leaves you feeling rejected, that leaves you feeling kind of not your best self. But it doesn't have to be romantic. I kind of think for a lot of you could be moving away from a sibling, a neighbor, a friend, or something like that, Leo. But I do see you kind of going in search of adventure instead if you feel rejected by somebody. That's what I see for you. That's what I have, Leo. Leo. I hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, Virgo. Welcome to October 2023. So, Virgo, firstly, continuity's sake, because I know that you guys pay attention to the details, I am filming this in the morning. I filmed the first half of the video at night during a storm. I'm now filming this first thing in the morning with the sun, so the lighting is different. There isn't the sound of rain. It's not as spooky as it was for the first half of the zodiac. That would be from Libra to Pisces. But I am wearing leopard print for continuity, and there's something about wearing leopard print in the morning that feels so unsafe and uncertain and unfamiliar. But we go on. The show must go on, much like it must for you. Venus is going to enter your sign on the 8th, and this is lovely because I don't think a lot of you had the easiest Virgo season. Mercury, your ruler, was retrograde. There were oppositions from Saturn. There were oppositions from Neptune. And truthfully, Virgo, with Saturn opposing you, you may be feeling as though someone else is taking all the power. Someone is acting as this opposing force. There could have been news or communication in September where you thought, right, well, where does this leave me? That opposition to Saturn is saying somebody else is maybe coming in as an authority figure, as maybe a boss, someone who's coming in kind of cold, someone who's coming in kind of strict and restrictive. And they're like, well, this is what it is. That's what Saturn oppositions do to you. So you might be finding yourself with this opposing force coming at you, and it might have been a very tough Virgo season. That opposing force could, of course, be entirely psychological or mental or emotional within you, but it could likely be somebody that is perhaps, let's say, a boss, a mentor, a parent, an authority figure who was just, or even a partner who was just, it may have felt like they were taking your power away and you were a bit restricted, but it is a test with Saturn. Saturn is usually testing you for something. But Venus entering your sign on the 8th will feel more refined. You won't be as worried about hidden enemies. Venus going through your 12th house, squaring Uranus. You won't be as worried about people pulling the rug from underneath you, so to speak. But we are in eclipse season. So let's talk about eclipse season for you and what it's going to mean. Virgo, this is very financial. Your finances may be changing in October. The solar eclipse being in your 2nd house of your income, your finances, your net worth, I guess, is going to be conjunct the South Node. It is ruled by Venus in your sign, though. Both eclipses are ruled by Venus in your sign. So a solar eclipse in your 2nd house, this can bring a new way of making money. This can bring a new job. This can bring a new pathway when it comes to making money, new opportunities to increase your finances. I feel with Venus being in your first house, you may be thinking a little bit more about becoming financially independent. You might be thinking, okay, well, there's these opposing forces from Saturn. I need to look after myself. I need to focus on myself. What do I need to do to make sure that I'm going to be okay? A lot of you could be starting something new financially that is maybe a bit more self-focused or entrepreneurial. And if you already work for yourself, you already make your own money, this could be a time when you're adding something to your business, you're adding something to your list of services. Your energy, Virgo, is a service sign. So where you are being of service to others, where you're being organized, where you're being effective, where you're being logical is where you thrive. So you may be finding that you're starting your own work project or your own new way of making money. Now, the North Node, though, is going through your 8th house. So with the North Node going through your 8th house, it's more likely that the direction that you're going in, Virgo, is about joining with others financially too. So this might be that for some of you, you're moving away from, because the South Node is in your sector of finances, you're maybe moving away from one particular source of income, one particular way of making money. This is very common in people who retire or take career breaks as a transit, because you might find yourself relying on your pension. With the North Node in the 8th house, you might find yourself relying on government money. You might find yourself relying on maternity leave, just something that is money coming from something else that you're not actively earning, if that makes sense. That's been your direction since July. So look back to July and see what changes were going on. This is going to continue until 2025. You might be more inclined to make money from the government, make money from even a tax rebate, or make money from someone else. You know what I mean? It's not as if you're grinding for it. So this can be periods of time where perhaps, as I say, you're getting money from your company, you're getting a payout from your company, you're, I can actually just see a magpie going past, so I don't know if that's symbolic, but you could be getting money from the government and something. You could be relying on your spouse's money. Your spouse could be making more money. You could be finding that you are inheriting money. Inheritance is quite likely under the North Node in the transiting the 8th house, especially because we had a full moon on the 29th of September in your sector of inheritance. So it could be that perhaps you are inheriting money, and this does not have to be through death. This could be through a gift. This could be through work that you've maybe even done in the past, potentially, but it's more so coming from another source. But Virgo, nevertheless, your finances are changing in October. And you might get some news on what this will be around the 18th, 19th, 20th. The 20th especially, the Sun, Mercury, Cazimi in your 2nd house. Your finances might become a bit more clear. There could be something, some sort of message, some sort of understanding to do with your money and your financial situation around the 20th for you, Virgo. Because your ruler Mercury is conjunct the South Node on the 19th as well. So you might actually be feeling ready to let go of something financially, or if it's not money, it could be that you're ready to let go of a particular value that you were very connected to, that you felt that you were living by. Maybe your values are shifting, your morals could be shifting, the way that you want to live your life could be shifting as well for you, Virgo. Now, Mars is going to enter your 3rd house on the 12th. Mars has been going through your 2nd house, so there could have been some conflicts over money. There could have been some challenges over morals. There could have been some challenges over value. There definitely could have been fights over money in your life, or you could have felt more inspired to make money or be more financially independent, as I said. But Mars going into your 3rd house, the people that you're likely to find challenges with, Virgo, are your siblings, your neighbors, your cousins, your aunts, your local communities. You could find yourself, especially on the 28th of October, butting heads with one of these people, having words, having a challenging conversation, feeling angry, feeling annoyed with them. And they could also be annoyed with you, but there could be a bit of tension there around the 28th. At the same time, this is making you want to get really actively involved in your community. Putting energy into neighborhood watch, putting energy into a group that you're part of, a local community, a local society, and really immersing yourself in that particular group of people, Virgo, getting yourself into a team or a group of people, more so like a local group or a community that you like to spend time with or work with. That could be signing up for local walking clubs as well, or something like that, or local running clubs for you. On the 28th, we have that full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus, and this is going to be happening in your 9th house. A lot of you are on the 28th. There could be, and sometimes this plays out a bit earlier, but there could be a fated need to travel to a foreign country. There could be a fated need to take a trip, something that you maybe didn't expect, but it's fated. Eclipses tend to be incredibly fated events that we don't necessarily feel coming. Sometimes we can intuitively interpret what they might be if we're very plugged in that way. But for you, this could be a trip somewhere in a foreign location. This could be having to travel. I mean, it's conjunct Jupiter, and for you, Virgo, Jupiter rules your family. So you could be traveling for family, traveling with family. And this could be something that perhaps, it could be planned or it could be unexpected, but you might be having to take a trip linked to family or home or property matters. Perhaps this is something that is going to expand your awareness or your philosophy or maybe even your spiritual viewpoints in some way, shape, or form, Virgo. I feel like when it comes to your faith as well, sometimes when people are going through rocky situations or sometimes when people are feeling really challenged, as a lot of Virgos will be because of Saturn, you can have your faith rocked and it can really shift your perspective on your faith. So some people that have Virgo rising or Virgo sun could be moving away from a particular belief system, or you could actually be finding yourself growing from a new one or growing or leaning into one that is already existing in your spiritual repertoire. You could be finding yourself becoming very philosophical, very interested and engaged in different forms of spirituality, connecting more with different types of spiritual people as well. Some of you that are in university or college could be wrapping up a particular chapter with your higher education. For some of you, this could rule a legal matter. This could be a legal matter in your life coming to a close. This chapter for you will have begun in November 2021. So think back to then, what growth and soul expansion you've been doing since then when it comes to your travel, your philosophy, your spiritual viewpoints, legal matters, higher education, teaching, learning. A lot of you, the focus has been on teaching and learning, Virgo. And now the focus is more so on facing your fears with North Node in the 8th house. So as I say, the solar eclipse is happening in your 2nd house, changing your finances, but something that is going on in the background for you, Virgo, is the fact that you're going to be going towards what scares you. You're being asked to go towards what scares you. You're being asked to be more willing to connect to others on a deeper or more vulnerable level in your relationships, to potentially accept financial help from someone else, potentially accept joining your finances with someone else, merging your finances with someone else, and also perhaps leaning in the direction of working through something psychological. Now, I will say the 8th house, it is associated with death and rebirth, so there is obviously the chance that you may have encountered that in your life since July, but you could yourself be going through a metamorphosis whereby you are being rebirthed as something new, and that may require you to do some challenging shadow work. And by shadow work, I simply mean looking into your own thought patterns, your processes, your habits, your behaviors, your genetic makeup, the way that you were raised, your social programming, anything that is feeling a little bit dead to you, that you need to release and let go of, to be to feel reinvigorated and to feel like you're growing, because if you're not growing, you are dying. So you're being pushed to face your fears, Virgo, to focus on your psychology, your mental health, your well-being, and exploring the mysteries of life too. Let's get you a card. Also, one date that's really nice for you is Halloween. So Venus in your sign is going to trine Uranus in your 9th house. You could be going as the devil. It's a Halloween costume. You could be going as the devil. Venus in your 1st house of self and aesthetics and appearances is trine Uranus in your 9th house. So if you're going to a Halloween party, your costume could be really appreciated by other people. It could be a surprise to other people. But just in terms of the overall energy that day, if you don't celebrate Halloween, if you don't do any of that stuff, you yourself are going to possibly be inspired by another culture, by a seminar, by a workshop, by something that you're learning, by somewhere that you're visiting, and it's maybe changing you as a person and your personal style. I do see a lot of you, I will say this. Yeah. I do see a lot of you perhaps needing to take some time off with the Four of Swords and the Sun, maybe taking a vacation with the Devil card. If you're feeling overworked, if you're feeling out of control, a holiday or a trip would be very good for you, Virgo, especially around that lunar eclipse in your 9th house. It is a time of travel. But I'm also seeing for a lot of you, you could find yourself in a therapist's chair if you did never expect to be there, working on some stuff and shining a light on some toxic or unhealthy behaviors that are no longer serving you. That's what I have for you, Virgo. I hope you have a brilliant month, and I will see you soon.